The sound of jazz at the Bradley Center. The Knicks and the Milwaukee Bucks. Knicks will travel on to Chicago and play one more, and that will be Sunday. The Bucks coming in with a record of 20-60. The Knicks 55-25. The Bucks just beat the Pistons to end a 9-game losing streak. We'll talk about their rough season, but right now the Hurt starting lineups.
Team photo night as the Milwaukee Bucks meet the New York Knicks. Now the starting lineups for tonight's game for the New York Knicks. Starting at forward from St. Louis, 6'8", number 4, Anthony Bonner. At forward from Virginia Union, 6'9", 34, Charles Oakley. At center from Georgetown, 7 foot 33, Patrick Ewing. At guard from North Carolina, 6'5", number 44, Hubert Davis. And at guard from Illinois, 6'4", number 11, Derek Harper. The head coach, Pat Riley. Assistants, Dick Harter and Jeff Van Gundy. Trainers, Mike Saunders and Tim Walsh. And now, ladies and gentlemen, here are your Milwaukee Bucks. Starting at forward from Illinois, 6'9", number 3, Ken Norman. At forward from Xavier, 6'8", number 20, Derek Strong. At guard from Arkansas, 6'6½", number 10, Todd Day. At guard from Providence, 6'1½", number 5, Eric Murdoch. At center from Hartford, 6'10½", number 42, Vin Baker. Head coach Mike Dunley, the assistant Frank Hamlin, Jim Ian, and Butch Carter. Trainers are Mark Feil and Phil Horton.
So the Knicks and the Milwaukee Bucks getting set here at the Bradley Center. A quick moment to take a look at what must happen for Pat Riley's team to win the Eastern Conference. Now they need some help. Remaining games for the Knicks tonight here, Sunday at Chicago. For the Bulls, tonight against Boston, Sunday against the Knicks, and tomorrow on national television against the Magic for the Hawks. Here's what Knicks fans would want to root for to happen. The Hawks to lose tomorrow, and then the Knicks to win here for Pat Riley's 700th, and on Sunday against Chicago for the 701st. If the Hawks win tomorrow, the Knicks cannot win the East. If the Bulls win their last 2 games, meaning, of course, a Knicks loss on Sunday, they would win the Eastern Conference because of a 3-2 edge in 5 meetings this season with Atlanta. So still many, many possibilities heading into the last weekend. And then when you throw who might play who in the first round, it gets even more confusing.
Well, one guy I know that's happy, or I should say one gentleman now, and that is NBA Commissioner David Stern. He's got a dramatic Eastern Conference going right down to the last day.
Starting in the middle for the Milwaukee Bucks, Vin Baker, University of Hartford rookie, great season. Kenny Norman and Derek Strong up front with Todd Day and Eric Murdoch in the backcourt. It is the same starting lineup for the Knicks that carried them through 15 straight wins and this rough month of April. It is taken by Kenny Norman, and we're underway in Milwaukee. Lee Jones, Bill Oakes, Ron Oleksiak, the officials for tonight's game.
First time I saw an official, Ron Oleksiak, set a pick at the beginning of the game. Kind of held things up for a second or two.
Baker bangs on Ewing, spins for a beautiful right-handed hook.
You know, the Bucks have their own little drama here, Al. It's their last home game of a terrible season. These players know they won't have to come back here with the team looking as it does the next time they play here, those who will be here. So there's a certain attitude here, you might say, of finality as Charles Oakley opens things up for the Knicks. And I think that will lead to a loose Bucks team, which is possibly dangerous for the Knicks to face.
Eric Murdoch fakes Harper in the air. Hubert Davis. Guarded by Norman, who has the height advantage on that. Derek Strong can't stop Hubert Davis, and the Knicks are perfect from the floor. Murdoch guarded by Harper. Oakley is on Derek Strong. Baker with Ewing. Bonner with Norman. Baker out high, 8 on the 24-second clock.
Hubert Davis getting the usual treatment by a taller player, but he got help on that play. Looked like Charles Smith. Todd Day taking Davis down low, trying to muscle him.
Now Ewing posts up. Dumps for Bonner. Goes up strong. 6-2 Knicks. Knicks coming off a 130-82 victory over the Sixers in their final home game at the Garden. Their 68th consecutive sellout. And the first time they've gone an entire season with every ticket sold. Derek Strong fouled by Bonner. Murdoch down. Ewing down.
Patrick Ewing thought he was going to draw an offensive foul on Murdoch. Murdoch going baseline. Ewing going down. Dramatizing the contact, but it didn't work. No officials call. So Bonner had to come in and deny that short dunk.
Derek Strong at the line for the Bucks. Averaging almost 7 and grabbing 4 rebounds a game.
He's been getting more playing time now that Mike Dunleavy is looking ahead, as he has since early January.
Mike Dunleavy has been saying that in the fourth quarter, just because a game is close doesn't mean he'll play his starters. He's been giving a lot of young players minutes when they normally wouldn't get them, so that he can plan his future here in Milwaukee. The steal by the Bucks.
Weak pass by Davis.
Murdoch lays it up for Strong. His layup is off. Ewing pulls it down for Harper. For Oakley, blind pass for Bonner, a little off the mark. Ewing fouled as he went up. That was some pass.
Against the weaker teams now, that gives the Knicks a chance to run a little bit more. Ewing hurting his hand. It looked like possibly on the backboard on that play. Shakes it off, however, as he goes to the line for 2. Patrick coming off a very strong confidence-building game himself last night in only 29 minutes. 26 points, 15 rebounds against the Sixers, while shooting 13 of 18 from the field.
It's a weird statistic, but that's the first free throw that Patrick has missed against the Bucks this season. He was perfect until that point, 7 of 7. Knicks 6, Bucks 3. First point for Patrick Ewing in the game. 7-3. 9:20 to go, opening quarter at the Bradley Center. Baker out high, and of course that means he takes Ewing with him.
Again, Day down low, and that one it was Day working successfully over Hubert Davis. Todd Day at 6'6.5" is a tough man, despite his very thin frame.
Harper spins for Murdoch. Oakley is left free by Norman. 2 in a row for Charles Oakley. He has 4. Norman for 3. He's been taking and making those lately.
Yet he's had a very, very disappointing year since joining the Bucks now in his 6th season this year.
Derek Harper hits a 2, and they're all falling for the Knicks. They're perfect. 5 for 5 from the floor. John, you look down the roster of this team, I think you see a few players who have had disappointing years. Blue Edwards is right there with Kenny Norman. He had started for most of the season. He's not starting anymore, but coming off the bench, Norman follows. Bonner grabs the rebound away from Vin Baker. Ewing fouled by Derek Strong.
Number 20, Derek Strong.
That's a good sign for the Knicks that Patrick Ewing is going to the free throw line for the second time, and we're only 4 minutes into the game.
Patrick Ewing.
Well, what's good also, Al, is that Patrick is taking the ball to the basket, using his advantage of size, mobility, and strength.
Shaquille O'Neal coming off a 53-point game, tied up top. That's another race to watch down the stretch of the season. Patrick sixth in the NBA, 24.6 a game. So Patrick, 50-50 split with both trips to the line. It's 12-8. Harper applies a little pressure to Murdoch and relaxes on the inbound. Baker again takes Ewing out high, then he helps Harper with Murdoch. Strong from way out. Derek Strong very involved in the early minutes of this game. Oakley needs help. Finds Davis. Bonner cuts away from Day and then collapses and was fouled. John, it seems pretty obvious that one of the things Mike Dunleavy wants to do is have Vin Baker out by the three-point line as much as possible, thinking Ewing's got to be there with him, and then hopefully something opens up underneath that wouldn't normally be there.
Yes, Baker's very mobile, too. He can flash down low quickly. But the main thing, as you mentioned, Al, is to get Ewing away from the basket.
First foul of the game on Ewing. It was an offensive foul on that play. So Bucks ball with 7:25 to go in the first. Bucks at 40%, Knicks at 100%. Another three-pointer by Kenny Norman.
I mentioned Ken Norman's disappointing year. He's averaging 12 a game, but he, throughout the season, has talked about wanting to leave Milwaukee until today's story in the paper saying he wants to come back. So he wants to leave a good last impression on Mike Dunleavy, the coach, tonight.
Murdoch just on the line. Ewing battling inside. Davis helps out. Pace of the game picks up as Oakley lets go. Vin Baker doing a little bit of everything. Dribbling it up the floor, challenging Ewing with a crossover. Buck ball out of bounds. Timeout here in Milwaukee. It's a tight one so far. Bucks by 1.
The World Cup soccer tournament is almost here. Whoopee. Hi, everybody. I'm Bob Page, and coming up on the next Page One, a lively debate on the tournament and soccer in the U.S.
You've got to see it to believe it. The Men's Apparel Liquidation Center in Farmingdale. A better way to buy better menswear. Aisle after aisle. One great name after another at prices you won't believe. We sell only brand new first quality current season menswear. Suits, sport coats, slacks, ties, belts, and more. If you can't find it here for less, they don't make it. The Men's Apparel Liquidation Center. Nobody beats our prices. Nobody. Open Friday, Saturday, and Sunday only, and only for the smartest shoppers. 399 Smith Street, a block and a half east of Route 110.
On the expressway between exits 49 and 57, tell you these lanes are reserved for special use. High occupancy vehicle or HOV lanes are only for passenger cars with at least 2 occupants, buses and motorcycles, from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Friday. A 4-foot buffer separates the HOV lanes from other traffic, with entry only at specified points. If you cross the buffer, you're violating the law. The HOV Diamonds are brought to you by your New York State Department of Transportation, reminding you smart commuters use the smart lane.
Huntington Honda, Long Island's favorite Honda dealer, has the best offer ever. Yours. That's right. Huntington Honda lets you set the price. All reasonable offers will be accepted and all unreasonable offers considered. Like this 1994 Civic LXA 4-door sedan. The MSRP was $14,550. We advertised it for $13,488. But now you make the offer. No more MSRP. No more advertised prices. Just make your price and make your offer at Huntington Honda, Jericho Turnpike, Huntington.
A real winner knows how to party right. Please use good sense when you drink and know when to say when. A reminder from Budweiser.
Chew on that.
Vin Baker has a lot of skills at 6'10 and a half. Look at the move he puts on Ewing as he comes up court. I mean, that is some move for a guy his size. Another reason now why he can play outside and cause problems for the taller Ewing.
Murdoch scores his first 2 points in the game. Knicks now down 3. They go to Ewing, who kicks it for Harper. It's a 2, and it's good. Derek Harper has the touch for 4 points. Baker again way out, and Ewing's there with him. Harper falls down. Murdoch is open. Norman keeps it alive to grab the offensive rebound. Day thought about long range and drew a foul on the drive. Todd Day will go to the free throw line. On the Nobody Beats the Wiz scoreboard, we're keeping an eye on this one, of course. The Celtics surprising the Bulls early, up 5 in the second.
They've been putting up some big numbers lately. I saw Ed Pinckney. It was nice to see him 2 games ago have a very big game, over 20 points and 20 rebounds. I think he had 22 rebounds. And even Robert Parrish is playing big, as he reminds the Celtics that he'd like to be back for another year at $4 million. Be a nice number, Al. Huh?
What a tough decision for that franchise to make.
Yes. The revered Robert Parrish.
Same sort of decision they had to make in this town. I mean, with Robin Yount and the Brewers here for so long, at a certain salary level, do you bring him back because he's a legend here in town or not? Harper again. This time it's for 3. Derek Harper on a roll for the Knicks. He has 7 points, and he leads the way for them with 5:30 to go in the first quarter.
The inside-outside game of the Knicks is sparkling early. Ewing hurting the Bucks inside, and Harper doing it from the outside.
Day drives on Davis. It's an Oakley rebound, and he roars out of the pack for Bonner, who's got Davis and Oakley behind him. And he travels. Charles Oakley called for traveling. And the turnover will give the ball to Milwaukee.
That was an odd move for Charles Oakley, Mr. Strength. He got a little cautious when he got around the basket with that stop and fake.
Knicks have only missed 2 shots, and they're only up 1. Baker overplayed by Ewing. Again, he goes big to the hoop. He's got such long arms. The wingspan as he goes through the lane is amazing to watch. Anthony Bonner. Well done for Bonner. He has 4. Knicks by 3.
Also well done by Ewing, picking up his teammates nicely here in the opening part of this game.
Murdoch, the alley-oop. Beautiful. He spun away from Ewing, who looked away for a second, and by then Baker was gone.
Baker's mobility is what makes him special.
Pretty wide open game so far, and fun to watch here in Milwaukee tonight.
Number 20, Derek Strong, with his second personal.
Derek Strong is called for his second personal foul. And there's Vin Baker with that great move a moment ago. Harper's had the hot hand for the Knicks. Davis over Norman. Derek with a strong rebound. Turnover for the Knicks. Bonner up, under, and tipped by Hubert Davis.
The Knicks are a very loose team now. They're getting a lot of opportunities in virtually every situation. Outside shooting, inside game. Bucks are playing hard themselves, but their ammunition isn't as great as the Knicks, obviously.
And a well-balanced offensive game for both teams. A foul as Todd Day puts it up and in. Every starter has scored a point for both teams in this game.
Todd Day, the man who's 6'6½", doesn't look that strong, but he plays strong. Thanks to the efforts of his teammate Vin Baker with that springing that ball loose. Day gets another opportunity, and he made the most of it.
So Todd Day steps to the line for the Milwaukee Bucks, averaging 12 7/10 of a point on the season. He ties the game at 21. Todd Day, the first ever lottery pick by the Milwaukee Bucks. That's after last season's disaster.
Derek Harper continues his great shooting.
Knicks by 2. Patrick Ewing has not yet taken a shot. Murdoch over Harper. And now they're starting to go in at both ends of the floor. Charles Smith has checked in for the Knicks, replacing Anthony Bonner. And a timeout here at the Bradley Center. This game's at a fast pace to it. 3:07 to go, tied at 23.
Dear car owners, Midas is pleased to announce the Midas Wheel Deal. We're offering outstanding values on shocks, struts, and alignment services to keep your car running safe and straight. Come in for a Midas Wheel Deal special today.
Hold the phone. Now when you get a free Midas Wheel Deal suspension inspection, including shocks, struts, and steering, you'll also get 5 minutes of free long-distance calls. If Midas performs any needed suspension repairs, get 15 minutes more. See dealer for details. The Midas way, the way it should be.
With all these standard features, the advantages of owning a new GMC Safari are seemingly endless. Its lease, however, is only for 24 months. The Safari 24-month GMAC Smart Lease.
See your Tri-State GMC truck dealer.
Teamwork. It's the cornerstone of any championship season. It makes good teams great. It's what makes great teams dynasties. And it's beautiful to watch. MCS Fast Responsive Service and Canon Technology are a team you can count on. Nobody knows office technology as well as Canon. Nobody knows Canon as well as MCS. They work together like this. MCS Canon. One is a great reason to buy the other.
Now it's time for the MCS Canon Great Teamwork Moment. Well, the future of this franchise is Vin Baker. He gives the ball up to Eric Murdoch, takes Patrick Ewing out, and then goes backdoor on Ewing, who gets no help from behind. Beautiful move by the Bucks working as a team. Canon Technology and MCS Service. One is a great reason to buy the other.
Patrick Ewing will get a breather. Herb Williams checks in for the Knicks. And how many times do we see this? I mean, we're watching a Milwaukee Bucks team that is working hard, rebounding, hitting their shots, and they're tied with the Knicks, and they've won 20 games this season.
Derek Harper proving that the outside game has a little balance also with a sensational drive just now.
Derek Harper 5 for 5 from the floor, 11 points. In the first 9 minutes of this game, Patrick Ewing left without taking a shot. Ken Norman from way out. He's been on target too. Harper for Davis. Guarded by the much taller Day for Charles Smith against 3 Bucks. He draws a foul.
Civil servant and a cook with his first over in Arkansas. It's a penalty.
Pat Riley needing a win to reach 700 for his career, which is 12 seasons long now. Charles Smith to the line, still wearing that big erector set on his left knee.
Charles got a 28-minute workout last night as Pat Riley continues to use him a lot to get him ready for the playoffs, as Pat made clear the other night. Charles at the foul line last night was 6 for 6, which was exactly half of the Knicks' total of 12 foul shots made in the game.
Pat Riley says he's playing hurt. He's still playing with pain in that knee. Smith all metal on the free throw, and it's the Knicks by 1. Greg Anthony checks in for the Knicks, coming off an 11.5 of 11 shooting game. Only got 19 bench minutes against the Sixers, but then again the Knicks won by 48. John, I wasn't there, but when did garbage time actually begin for Marvin you in that game?
Very early fourth quarter, Al.
It lasted that long?
Well, yeah, it could have. It certainly could have been officially proclaimed garbage time earlier after the 41-18 third quarter favoring the Knicks. But we wanted to be a little graceful about it. I know you weren't there because you're working on your own indoor sports record. This is the 3rd sport for you in the last 36 hours?
A trifecta. And beautifully done by Vin Baker, who's showing some great stuff here in the opening minutes.
A little hockey, a little baseball, a little hoops.
A lot going on here at the network these days.
You like your job, Al?
Love it. Hubert Davis. He's being bothered by Ken Norman, who's been on him a little bit, and Todd Day, too. Good work by Charles Oakley inside.
The bodies that the Bucks have inside on that particular play just don't match the body of Charles Oakley.
Checking into the game for Milwaukee, Anthony Cook wearing 00.
Vin Baker getting position moments ago. Fought off Herb Williams and Charles Oakley.
Some move for a 6'11" guy to make. From the corner, Todd Day over Rolando Blackman. So to reset the lineup, first for the Knicks, Herb Williams in the middle up front with Charles Smith and Charles Oakley. Greg Anthony in the backcourt with Rolando Blackman. Murdoch remains. Baker remains. Norman remains. Todd Day remains. Murdoch leaves right now, and checking in is Lee Mayberry. Against the Bucks this season, Rolando's been on a roll. 15 points, shooting 48% from the floor and getting the minutes. Charles Oakley. I think Greg Anthony thought about an alley-oop there for Charles. It's followed up by Herb Williams.
Very soft hands of Herb Williams on that shot. Looks like an easy one because he's in close, but he was right in front of the basket. Didn't use the backboard.
Ken Norman with a rare miss from outside. Lee Mayberry. A little late in picking up Greg Anthony, but he's off and Baker grabs the rebound. 5 rebounds for Vin Baker. The final seconds of the first quarter, and what a collision between Smith, Williams, and Baker, who draws the foul.
Didn't bother Vin Baker, though. How about his acceleration now when he comes up with the basketball? He reminds me somewhat of Danny Manning.
Yes.
Here's another look at this now, how quickly he turned it on. I mean, blew around Herb Williams. And he has special talents, but the other night we saw Danny Manning of Atlanta bring the ball up center of the court a few times, something that has been going on a regular basis for Manning in his NBA career, with a lot of versatility, and Baker shows the same skills.
Rough trip to the line, but even Baker's not safe. About a week ago, he sat for the entire fourth quarter in a close game. Mike Dunleavy wants to continue to put out the message. They must continue to work. Boston by 5 over the Bulls, still in the second quarter on the Nobody Beats the Wiz scoreboard. 27.4 to go.
Al, you refer to that sitting of Baker in the fourth quarter, and he was quite verbal in his complaints about not playing. Reminded certainly New York readers out here in Milwaukee today of the situation with Anthony Mason being outspoken. But it was very clear, made clear by Mike Dunleavy, coach of this team, and the general manager, we might add, that he told Baker and Strong that at the end of the third quarter he wanted defensive rebounding, and both of those players weren't doing it. And that's why he sat along with Strong in the fourth quarter, despite their outbursts of unhappiness.
Dunleavy has security too in the second year of a contract that'll carry him through the year 2000. Lee Mayberry dribbling out the final seconds of the quarter. He's met by Charles Smith, who thought it was Knicks ball, but Milwaukee will have it with 7 on the 24-second clock and 10 on the game clock. Mayberry working on Anthony. Now the switch, and Williams helps out. That's way off, but followed by Baker, who misses at the expiration of the 24-second clock. And now a battle for the loose ball, and time expires. Well, historically, the Bucks and Knicks have played it tight, and after one quarter, that's exactly what it is. 32 for the Knicks, 29 for the Bucks.
Nowadays, you see more and more Alamo cars in America's business regions. From the Sun Belt to the Grain Belt to inside the Beltway.
Communications company of the New York Knicks and the NBA.
Vin Baker has everyone here in Milwaukee hoping that the time will be soon when the Bucks will be strong again. He's been very impressive after one quarter. Of course, the Bucks were winners for so long, they don't have many great first picks. You have to go way back to the days when Lou Alcindor, Kent Benson, Marcus Johnson, Sidney Moncrief, and then even Ernie Grunfeld and Julius Erving were drafted by this team. But they were bad last year. They got Todd Day in the lottery, and they're certain to be in the lottery again. It's just a matter of what position they will finish in the bottom of the league and how that will help them in the lottery selection process this year. Knicks at 68%.
The lottery has been changed again this year also to favor the teams with the poorer records. The percentages of the teams with the bottom three records are so much greater now.
Smith over Brad Lohaus.
Percentages meaning percentages of getting the very best players coming out of college.
It's really complicated now, isn't it?
Basically, the lowest ranked team has a 25% chance now, higher chance than ever, to get the #1 pick. And the second lowest team in the lottery will have a 16% chance to get the top pick. So the NBA has worked harder and harder at helping the weaker teams, particularly after the advantage the Orlando Magic had now in the last couple of years, getting the top pick.
Turnover favors the Knicks. Blackman for Anthony. And he's all net to give the Knicks a 36-29 lead, their biggest lead so far in the game. First points for Anthony. Right now, the worst team in the NBA, Dallas, and then Minnesota, Detroit, and Milwaukee, all with the identical record of 20 and 60. We'll bring you back to the Bradley Center in a moment. Right now, let's go to New York and Mike Crispino.
Al at Chicago Stadium, the Bulls had opened up a 13-4 lead over the Celtics early, but they responded with a 20-3 run. D. Brown to Ed Pickney. The corner jumper goes down. The Celtics by 4 at halftime.
Okay, Mike, and of course we'll send you back to the MSG Sports Desk as that game warrants, and most definitely at halftime of this game here in Milwaukee. Blue Edwards off the bench for his first minutes tonight. He hits the free throws off the Nick foul, and it's a 5-point game.
Blue Edwards has come off the bench now for the 6th straight game after starting 63 of the prior 64 games.
Lee Mayberry saves it and just heaves it the length of the floor, and this will be Nick Ball. He was falling out of bounds and really had no choice.
Well, that attempt at steal didn't work out.
John Barry, Brad Lohaus, Derek Strong, and Lee Mayberry out there for Milwaukee. Charles Smith off by a lot. Blue Edwards strong with the rebound. Barry, one of the many sons of Rick Barry to be playing competitive basketball. Lohaus. And he can be good from out there, but it's a Smith rebound. Herb Williams bangs it in. 4 points for Herb Williams. The predictably quiet crowd here in Milwaukee. I mean, this place can be like a tennis match. Offensive foul on Milwaukee.
Blue Edwards setting a pick using his hands to set the pick for his teammate.
As a matter of fact, one of the local columnists wrote today, he said, and there was a smattering of applause, which is an ovation at the Bradley Center for something that happened here recently. Williams spins on Lohaus, goes reverse, and has 6 points. Herb Williams making his presence felt.
Well, Herb Williams didn't feel any pressure behind him from the defense.
Lohaus goes for it again. He's 0 for 2 from out there. Rolando Blackman for Greg Anthony.
Yet Lohaus is the all-time three-point shooter for this franchise, which is amazing considering his size.
Charles Smith pulls up. Lohaus grabs it. John Barry on the run. 2 Knicks back. He goes right at him and draws the foul. Charles Smith will be called.
Lohaus a half-inch away from 7 feet broke Craig Hodges' three-point shooting totals this year.
So John Barry.
But the question is, who needs a basically 7-foot three-point shooter? You know, I mean, Lohaus, also an unrestricted free agent at the end of the season, has stated he'd like to return. Mike Dunleavy and his staff will give that serious consideration.
Dunleavy made a couple of moves. He sent Frank Frykowski out for a draft pick, and Anthony Avent to the Magic for Anthony Cook got a draft pick too. So in the next couple of years, they've got a couple of extra first-round picks coming their way.
And Danny Shays went to the Lakers for a second-round draft pick. So they've been accumulating draft picks, and they also have a lot of room under the salary cap.
Anthony Bonner working hard and battling with Blue Edwards. And Edwards is called for the loose ball foul. John, I'm just looking down at the score sheet. This is almost amazing. Third quarter, Cleveland is leading Washington 100-79. They have 100 points in the third quarter. Anthony for three. And over the top, it'll be Milwaukee ball. Pat Riley and the Knicks will fly home after their season is over Sunday, gather their things, and then fly to Charleston, South Carolina.
Now, Cleveland's very serious. They're tied with Indiana right now.
Pacers finishing very strong.
For fifth in the Eastern Conference.
Derek Strong playing well, too. He hits the 20-footer, 5 points. Knicks by 6. They've led by as many as 9. Charles Smith with a smooth turnaround.
Well, Charles has taken a few shots that didn't work out. Now he appears to be feeling the touch a little more.
Patrick Ewing up from the bench. He's ready to check back in for the Knicks. Derek Strong. It's knocked away, and out comes Anthony. Bonner on the run. He gets the ball and drops in the layup. Nice pass from Greg Anthony.
Terrific motion by Bonner. Also staying ahead of Greg Anthony, who is moving quite fast himself.
Amazing balance on the score sheet for both teams. Derek Harper leads the Knicks with 11. After that, 3 Knicks with 6. Charles Smith has 7. Blue Edwards. And similar balance for the Milwaukee Bucks. Anthony, good fake on Mayberry. Eventually the switch leaves Williams open. And bodies fly into the Knicks bench. It's finally saved by Anthony.
Good passing also by the Knicks, sharing that basketball. Anthony still not getting much respect for the outside shot.
Ball movement gets Smith open. He's off. Blackman down. Great interception by Anthony. It's 3-on-1, but a foul as the Knicks went up the floor. Timeout at the Bradley Center. Knicks able to move the ball and move it well. Anthony to Bonner for 2. Back in a moment.
I don't get it. Some guy bets 228 and makes $3 million bucks.
Can you imagine what Willie Mays would be worth today?
Yeah.
No holiday sweepstakes.
Another Heineken, right?
Yeah, please.
No blimp with our name on it. No racing team.
Hey, Mays.
None of that is what made Heineken the #1 imported beer.
Please call 212-465-MSG1 or Ticketmaster for current show and ticket exchange or refund information.
On we go in the second quarter. 6:15 to go. The Knicks 44, the Bucks 38. Patrick Ewing has returned, and so has Ben Baker. And Patrick Ewing takes his first shot upon returning and hits it. So he's 1 for 1 from the floor with 4 points. Ewing being outscored by Herb Williams. You don't see it often.
Well, that's a rare sight. It's a healthy sight, though, for the Knicks when Herb Williams can come in and be effective right away.
John Barry for a Blue Edwards rainbow. Good hustle by Barry. High off the glass. Derek Strong met by Ewing. Bonner comes away with it. It will be Nick Ball. Dunleavy's there. What happened there? Blackman guarded by Barry, and he gets a Ewing screen. Alley-oop coming up, and a beautiful look by Charles Oakley.
Ewing was unguarded, and Oakley saw that and unleashed just a perfect pass.
Well, the screen that Patrick Ewing set through 2 Bucks, and then they just froze there. Now Milwaukee running a set play. 2 up high, and Murdoch just, that can't have been the play. Baker with a follow. That's a nice play.
Well, I can't help but look at Baker's face and not think of
Danny Manning?
Johnny Newman.
Oh, you said Danny Manning before, so he reminds you of many.
With the move. No, I'm talking about facially now.
And a foul on Murdoch's drive.
Can I make a sale to you on that one?
I like the Danny Manning one, John.
I like that better.
Johnny Newman, yeah. I don't remember Johnny Newman having as many first half memorable moments as this.
No, I'm talking about lookalikes. No, you don't buy it, no.
Normally I'm on your side.
I know you are, but, you know, I know your respect for Marv is such that you two turn on me once in a while.
Those moments are few and far between. Actually, it did have a little bit of a Johnny Newman look on the profile.
What a guy.
Just weak. Murdoch great from the line at 82%. Best on the team. He rolls it in 48-40. Knicks up 8 with 4.5 to go.
Murdoch's having a terrific year despite the record of this team.
What a pick by Murdoch. Bonner never saw him. And then commits the foul as Murdoch threatened to break free.
Well, right on cue, we must point out now that Murdoch is 5th in the NBA at thefts. Nate McMillan, Scottie Pippen, Mookie Blaylock, John Stockton, then Murdoch. There you take a look at it right now. Murdoch has also has distinguished himself with his three-point shooting. He's 5th in the NBA, 42% from the field, 14th in NBA assists as well, 14th.
Hey, John, he's had 54 steals in his last 17 games. What hustle by Oakley to save it for Harper. Bonner, very active in the quarter. Good look, Ewing. And the Knicks are in front by 10, 50-40, and emphatically so.
Well, that's a stone reaction by the defenders of the Bucks, led by a Strong, who just watched it all happen.
Baker kicks it out for Norman. And that's picked off by Bonner. The Knicks are beginning to emerge here in the late stages of the quarter. Another Ewing dunk, this time from Harper. Ben Baker is just not picking up Patrick Ewing, who's been very mobile and elusive. 3:36 to go. The Knicks up by a dozen. That's their biggest lead.
Don't miss the New York Knicks as they head into the playoffs. The countdown begins right here on MSG Network, the best in the game.
Of all the ways you can furnish your home, one of the most beautiful ways is with Anderson feature windows and patio doors.
A nice run by the Knicks to put them up 12. Here's how it sounded in the last couple of moments. And John, a much different Patrick Ewing than we saw in the first quarter.
Al, he's really swishing him, isn't he?
3:34 to go. Blue Edwards loses Hubert Davis just for a moment. Davis stays with him. Ewing helped out with the block. Blocked again. 2 blocks on the sequence by Ewing. Baker saves. 3 on the 24-second clock. They never got it to touch the rim. And as Oakley slid out of bounds, it is Knick ball. Well, the 24-second clock expired just as Oakley was sliding out of bounds, hustling again.
Well, Charles Oakley went for that loose ball opportunity. That turned it into the Knicks' possession now.
Harper and Murdoch going at it. Ewing guarded by the much smaller Kenny Norman, who deflects the ball away.
Norman with a little receives a pat on the leg from Ewing, acknowledging that nice play.
Todd Day returning for the Bucks. Bonner looking for somebody, and he takes the 20.
Very hard for a man to inbound the ball when no one is coming toward him, and that's what Bonner faced.
Knicks defense coming alive very much here in the second quarter. They've created, and I guess the Bucks have helped a little bit, 7 second quarter turnovers. Well, the Yankee season continues this weekend. The A's are in town, and we'll be back on MSG with the Yankees and the A's at 1 o'clock on Sunday. And of course, on the weekends, Yankee baseball is preceded by Yankee Scorecard. Pat Riley looking for win number 700 on his career tonight. It won't change his position on the all-time list. He's in 10th spot all alone, having passed Red Holtzman in the last week or so.
Patrick Ewing all by himself after that inbounds pass.
Ewing roaring into the spotlight of this game. He now has 12 points. Harper still at 11. He hasn't scored in a while. He was the hot man in the first quarter. Baker, some fake, went for the monster and missed it. Eric Murdoch with the follow. Oakley looking like a wide receiver behind the back to Bonner, who goes behind the back to Ewing, who was on the end line. Bucks ball. That's not exactly the way Pat Riley wanted to see the ball get up the floor. Vin Baker met by Bonner. Ewing is down. And that's 2 straight times up the floor, John, where Vin Baker looked as though he wanted to make a little statement.
Yes, he's bursting with energy and very desirous of showing the Knicks that he's in with them. He's right able to compete at a very high level, and he's really doing it.
Last 2 minutes of the half. Knicks by 12. Hubert Davis. Can't leave him that wide open. That's a 3-pointer, and the Knicks have erupted to lead by 15 now.
Gives you an idea of how Mike Dunleavy has to coach this team into a more intense defensive style. 1-2 passes, and the Knicks are finding wide open shooters.
Murdoch for 3. He can't answer, but follows. And Steve Baker, who draws the foul. Well, Vin Baker will go to the line with a chance at a 3-point play. Charles Oakley is called for the Knicks foul. His first.
Baker competing his way right to the rim on that play. Talking to Mike Dunleavy the last time the Bucks were in New York on March 17th, and he just raved about this young man's attitude, his work ethic, and it's all pluses for Vin Baker.
He's got the numbers too, John. He's already got a double-double, and it's his 26th of the season. 10 points and 10 rebounds. Oakley on the floor for about the millionth time in the game, and the 3rd dunk of the game for Patrick Ewing. Ewing with 14. Check that, I missed one. 4th dunk. And they've all come in this quarter. Charles Oakley called for back-to-back fouls.
One thing is clear, Al, and that is that the Knicks are very focused on this game. There's not one suggestion of them being casual or taking this Milwaukee Bucks team in light fashion.
John, you really wonder, you know, has the Anthony Mason suspension brought the group together a little bit? I mean, Pat Riley, when he's made these bold strokes before, there was a time when he benched Starks, Anthony, and Mason, and that seemed to work at that time. He changed the starting lineup to begin the month of March. Well, that worked to a 15-game winning streak, and you wonder whether this stroke has sort of strengthened his power, made the statement, and awakened the team.
Well, it certainly added a touch, a very heavy touch of seriousness to the atmosphere. And I think that reflects Pat Riley's attitude all year long.
And I think there was great surprise among the Knicks and the organization that Anthony Mason went to the game that he was suspended from and sat in the crowd at the Garden. 109 to go in the first half, 59-44.
It's hard, though, for me, Al, when you read that move by Anthony going to the game, good or bad. I mean, there is a tendency now to jump on him and criticize him, and yet the other way to look at it is to say he's a very down-to-earth person who thinks like a fan.
You know, wanted to go to the game
and be in the arena, just be there and see the team play. But Anthony seems to have developed a personality which breeds controversy. Nevertheless, it's been made clear throughout this period that he is valuable, and his teammates want him back. His coach has certainly pointed out how valuable he is, and hopefully he'll come back strong and add a lot to what, from the Knicks' standpoint, is yet a very long season ahead.
Multiple changes on the floor. Derek Strong left for Milwaukee. Ewing, Oakley, and Smith out for the Knicks. All for the last 65 seconds of the half. The Knicks have completely taken control in the second quarter. Eight on the 24-second clock. Todd Day over Davis, who had some help from Herb Williams. And the foul on Hubert Davis.
44, Hubert Davis with his second.
John, what would you guess the crowd is here tonight? About 12,000, something like that?
Yes.
Number 10,
12,312 to be exact, Al.
I count on you. They're not making a lot of noise. And they weren't even when the Bucks were in the game.
Hey, the mere fact that you can hear them is a plus. I mean, this is the team that's won the fewest home games in the history of this franchise, and that they're here suggests that there's not much to do in Milwaukee tonight.
8 for 17 from the line are the Milwaukee Bucks. That's got to get better. That's horrible. 35 seconds to go. Hard work inside by Herb Williams. It's out of bounds.
Go back now. Go back, Blue. Go back. Go, guys, let's go.
Al, I stand corrected. Howie Singer tells me the Brewers are playing tonight, so there is much more going on in Milwaukee tonight. These are obviously good hoop fans.
A little sloppy at the end there by the Knicks, and it turns out to be a Buck hoop. Yeah, I'm not sure that Tony Kubek is real thrilled with you right now either, John. Harper off the glass. The buzzer will sound. Well, the last 30 seconds for the Knicks was not exactly pretty, but that second quarter, that was something. They've taken control of this game, and at the half, they lead Milwaukee by the score of 61-46. And again, their defense was the star, and their shooting has been outstanding. Mike Crispino when we come back on MSG.
There are a lot of very fine men's stores in New York where you can pay a lot for great clothes. But there is a more intelligent choice. There's Rothman's on Union Square. It's the least expensive way to buy expensive clothes. Rothman's, the more intelligent way to buy men's clothes.
And next week is my 5th wedding anniversary. It's unbelievable how time flies.
Did you get her a present yet?
Yeah, I'm getting her a really nice washer and dryer.
Oh, come on. She'll never forgive you. You got to get her something for her.
It is for her.
No blondes and bikinis.
Get her jewelry.
No sales pitch from the chairman.
Or vacation.
None of that is what made Heineken the #1 imported beer in America.
You think I should take her someplace special?
Definitely.
So maybe I'll take her to Cooperstown.
No.
Oh, you need timing.
Timing's everything, and you couldn't pick a better time to save on a new Toyota. For a limited time only, get low 3.9% financing on any new Toyota. 3.9% makes Camry quality very affordable. Gives you Corolla dependability at a lower monthly payment. 3.9% makes any one of a full line of Toyotas a better value than ever. Rates going up, Toyotas just went down. But hurry, time's limited. The time to see your Toyota dealer is now.
In business, there never seems to be enough of it. And the last thing you can afford to do is run out of it. Time. So rest assured, Delta Airlines will help you make the most of it. With over 4,900 flights a day to over 300 cities around the world. And best of all, we'll make sure you arrive relaxed and refreshed with plenty of time to spare. Delta Airlines.
But first, let's get this update with Mike Crispino in New York.
All right, thanks very much, Al. The Boston Celtics en route to their worst season in 15 years, playing their next-to-last game of the season at Chicago Stadium tonight, a game that has no meaning to the men in green, but is ultra-important to the Knicks. The Celtics led by 4 at halftime, 41-37. They now trail 59-54 as they play in the third quarter. Last game, maybe, for Robert Parrish in green. It should be. He's due to retire. Rick Fox with a nice drive, left-handed, a 20-3 run by the Celts, a 24-17 lead after one over Phil Jackson and the Bulls. They got a gift here on a Pippen missed shot. Xavier McDaniel tipped it in. But the Celtics responded from that off a Parrish miss. Ed Pinckney kicks it back out to D. Brown, who had 8 in the first quarter, and a big 3-ball right there as the Celtics up their lead to 5. But in the third, Scottie Pippen with a running one-hander right here cut the lead. They eventually took the lead, 59-54, and that's where they stand playing the third quarter of action. The Knicks, of course, must win their final 2 games and hope the Hawks stumble against Orlando in Atlanta tomorrow. The Knicks lose any tiebreakers that may occur with the Atlanta Hawks. Yankees opening weekend set with the A's at the stadium tonight. Bobby Ueda shelled again, his second straight humiliation, but the Yankees have rebounded to lead 8-6 as they play the top of the 9th inning. Steve Howe in relief. Today in sports history, 1915, pinstripes first appeared on Yankee uniforms. And Louis Polonia in Yankee pinstripes for the second time in his career. Laced a double in the 6th to break a 6-6 tie off Carlos Reyes. Bernie Williams scoring to make it 7-6. As I said, it's 8-6 as they play the 9th inning. The Mets just underway at Candlestick Park. Bobby Jones on the mound for the Mets against Mark Portugal of the Giants. We'll be back with more after this.
Sports Desk is brought to you by Alamo. There are over 4 million miles of roads in Alamo territory, and with Alamo, all those miles are free.
If Americans were the type of people who were
Rounders, however, and as George Young told me earlier this week, this is a quality draft, and the Giants should be able to address their needs in it.
Well, most people say speed receivers and pass rusher. That's traditional. You might as well say, when you say hello to another guy, another team, what do you need? He says, I need a speed receiver and a pass rusher. So we'll say the same thing, and also probably in the defensive backs. I think that we are probably looking in those areas mostly in the draft. But we'll have to see as the draft goes. You get the feel what the strength of the draft is, and you've got to go with the flow on that. But I would say in general that's the areas that we're looking.
Mike Springer leads the Greater Greensboro Open after 2 rounds by 4 shots, but John Daly is, of course, making news. He shot a 78 in round 1. He shot an 84 today. He's 18 over par. He did make a putt. There it is at 16, and then debuted from underneath the cap the new buzz cut. He did it after yesterday's round. Obviously, it didn't help him today. One other note, the Yankees have beaten the Oakland A's 8-6. It's a final from Yankee Stadium. Back to Milwaukee after these messages.
You can see it on his face.
That won't mangle your budget. Next time your car is out of commission, count on the service at AMAP Collision.
AMAP Collision.
Patrick Ewing roared through the second quarter, finished with 14 points and 5 assists. Derek Harper had 11 in the first quarter, finished with 13. 8 Knicks scored in that first half. The story for the Milwaukee Bucks, they were led by 2 players. Vin Baker, who had the double-double in the first half, 10 points and 10 rebounds. Eric Murdoch with 10 from the backcourt. After that, Todd Day and Kenny Norman each had 8. Well, welcome back. Al Trautwig in for Marv Albert with John Andres. And John, it was really the story of that second quarter in which the Knicks took control of this game.
Unlike last night, which took the Knicks till the third quarter to do. But Pat Riley has to be pleased with his team, Al. They're very loose now. They're shooting the ball terrifically and in total control of this ball game.
All right, John's been in the truck busy editing the highlights, which are brought to you by Minolta, makers of the new Maxim 700 SI, only from the mind of Minolta.
Nobody shot the ball poorly for the Knicks in the first half. Brad Lohaus very soft in the defensive position, and Herb Williams took it right to the basket. Patrick Ewing with that nice pick and set up a gorgeous pass from Charles Oakley out high. Boy, by constantly staying in motion, the Knicks got themselves a lot of very good shots. Now, the guy that really started the Knicks off in the opening minutes was Derek Harper with his outside shooting. Derek continues the fine shooting. Last night, he was 5 for 8 for the game. He was 5 for 6 in the first half tonight. The bright spot, the future of this franchise, Vin Baker, 6'11". Look at that beautiful up and under move by Vin Baker.
And Knicks defense doing the job in the second quarter, forcing Milwaukee to shoot 33% from the field, causing 7 turnovers. Back for the second half on MSG in a moment.
The Yanks take on Ricky and the A's from the stadium Sunday afternoon on MSG.
The New York State Department of Transportation is putting the Express back into the expressway between exits 49 and 57. This diamond symbol designates the new 4th lanes as high occupancy vehicle or HOV lanes, reserved for buses, carpools, and motorcycles between 6 a.m. and 8 p.m. Monday through Friday. Watch for this sign at each HOV entry point. Smart commuters will arrange ride sharing, saving 1 minute per mile using the HOV lanes. The HOV lanes are brought to smart commuters by your New York State Department of Transportation, reminding you smart commuters use the smart lane.
I buy all my cleaning supplies in bulk to save money.
And it's a groovy store.
Hey, you never got enough toilet paper.
They have paper plates, cups, plungers.
And they deliver right to my door. I didn't even tip them.
Oh, please, I don't even clean. And if you don't shop here, you're a geek.
You gotta be kidding me. Ocean Janitorial Supply. Bad commercials, good service.
Did I say Greek or geek?
That was good. Try it one more time.
Of all the ways you can furnish your home, one of the most beautiful ways is with Anderson feature windows and patio doors. Elegant designs bring the warmth of tradition, the comfort of nature. Ordinary furnishings create a look. Anderson windows create an experience.
Available in Nassau Suffolk Lumber. No one covers Long Island like Nassau Suffolk Lumber.
Well, look at you, Mr. Fashion. Where'd you get the suit? New shoes, designer tie, plus a perfect fit? Where'd you find all this? Come on, I've known you for years. You hate shopping around. All right, you tell me where you've been shopping for all these great clothes, and this butt's a gimme.
Marshes of Huntington Village, where you'll find an entire men's and boys' wardrobe under one roof.
New York Knicks basketball is brought to you in part by the Discover Card. It pays to discover, the card that pays you back. By MetLife. Get Met, it pays. And by Coca-Cola Classic. Always jammin', always Coca-Cola.
Moments away from the second half here at the Bradley Center in Milwaukee. Knicks up big, 61-46. And we've looked at the stat sheet and pulled off some of the more important numbers.
Well, the one that jumps out is the Knicks field goal percentage, 59% for the first half. And their bench points also very significant as the Knicks went to the bench. And Charles Smith, Herb Williams did a good job. Bucks having trouble shooting the ball against the league's leading defensive team. Our Toyota matchup featuring the centers for both teams. Patrick Ewing started slowly, but then came on. Well, he exploded for 14 points, 6 out of 7 from the field. Vin Baker, the highly touted rookie, double-double already in points and in rebounds. He's doing fine.
So Patrick and the New York Knicks huddle up for the second half. Little cheerleading going on by the Knick co-captain. In the 81st game of the season. Patrick Ewing talking to one of the officials. Anthony Mason again out for the second game, but his spirit lives here at the Bradley Center.
My goodness, this young man was expecting to see Anthony Mason, perhaps.
You know, Mason's proud of those head sculptures, but I don't know that he's ever had one that extensive. That was a work of art.
Yes, that is.
On we go. Charles Oakley up front with Anthony Bonner, Patrick Ewing, Derek Harper, and Hubert Davis. The same starting five here in the second half. Nice job of boxing out by Derek Strong on Patrick Ewing. Kenny Norman, Vin Baker, Derek Strong, Eric Murdoch, Todd Day for Mike Dunleavy's Milwaukee Bucks. Norman's pass deflected. Nice save by Harper. You know, in the first quarter, you say, how can this team have lost 60 games? And then you see the second quarter, and you have somewhat of an understanding. The steal by Murdoch, almost taken back by Davis. Nice pass for Baker, who can move.
Murdoch made a great play, though. His anticipation skills are really special.
On the Nobody Beats the Wiz early fourth quarter scoreboard, Boston's making it interesting. 70-67 over the Bulls. Ewing with a finger roll. John, it would be nice to get a couple of games in at Chicago Stadium before they close it down.
One of the great arenas in the country this Sunday, the last regular season game, appropriately enough, against the Knicks.
Derek Strong out high. Todd Day drives on Davis and hits over him, but Hubert played him well. Got a hand right in his face. Davis uses the screen, the crossover, and the reverse.
What a great move. He split the defense and then finishes it with a big man in front of him, and that didn't stop.
9 points for Hubert Davis. Knicks up once again by 15. Derek Strong getting a head start on Charles Oakley's bald haircut plea for the playoffs, although this Bucks team's not going there.
Take a look at Hubert's last move, right between the defenders. Vin Baker ended up watching that beautiful execution by Hubert Davis.
And a 20-second timeout. As we mentioned, the Knicks are going to fly home after their last game and then get set to head back to Charleston, South Carolina. I wonder if Pat Riley thought about Reno for a second, but it will be Charleston, and the Knicks will get their usual pre-playoff rejuvenation. And boy, that has always worked wonders for this team. As for the other team in the Garden, they are off to the hottest of hot starts. And Mike Keenan will talk about that with Sam Rosen on this week's edition of the Mike Keenan Show. Stanley Cup playoff highlights and discussion tomorrow at 11:15 right here on MSG. Have you caught any of those hockey games, John?
You know, Al, I haven't. We've been pretty busy, as you know, with the Knicks.
That's disappointing.
Well, I'm looking forward, though. I'd really like to go to one. You know any way I can get a ticket?
No, no way. Bucks will inbound. Kenny Norman will do just that. And the ex-Clipper finds Derek Strong. Nice defense by the Knicks. Another Buck turnover. Davis almost walked. Harper for three. Another three for Derek Harper. Boy, is his shot on tonight. He's 6 of 7 from the floor. 16 points for Derek Harper. Oakley thought he had the steal, and it was close. Strong, a pass in traffic. Oakley's all alone. Bonner didn't see him. Now he does. Knicks everywhere open. And Davis drains the three. And the Knicks are in front by 21 points, their biggest lead of the game. consecutive three-pointers.
Well, the game has taken on a look that the Knicks haven't presented since last night, Al, actually in the third quarter particularly, but it looks like the Knicks have 7 players on the court to the Bucks 5. That's the way it looks now.
There'll be an offensive foul on the Bucks. And right now it looks as though the Bucks are having a tough time making a commitment to this game.
Next ball, side court. See the pushing and shoving that goes on out in that court.
That's an offensive foul, right? 3-point field goals for the Knicks, 4 of 5. The Bucks aren't that good from the free throw line. Davis is off. Oakley gets the rebound, but that'll be a loose ball foul. And the third personal foul on Charles Oakley. Oakley disappointed today. He didn't think he played well in that Knicks blowout of Philadelphia. And right now in this game, Oakley with 6 points and 5 rebounds.
Well, last night, Charles had 6 points on 3 of 9, along with 9 rebounds in 23 minutes. He was a harsh judge of his play.
Bucks continue to be horrible from way outside.
That's your man. Can we wipe right here?
Lee Jones, the official, pointing out to Charles Oakley that the interruption he faced came from his teammate, not the Bucks.
Oakley said he pushed me, but no foul. Buck inbound. By the way, you saw Blue Edwards check in for the Milwaukee Bucks. That's another offensive foul. 2 straight offensive fouls on consecutive possessions by the Bucks.
And a technical foul for Eric Murdoch's response to that call.
And it looks as though Hubert Davis will step to the free throw line and take the tee.
Mike Dunleavy looking at Lee Jones saying he's right.
I think he's going to be happy when this is over. You know, John, it's really unheard of. You wonder why the Milwaukee Bucks made as long a commitment to Mike Dunleavy as they did. 8 years.
Senator Cole,
who just walked behind us, by the way.
Senator Cole loves him.
Then that's why.
Mike made a very fine impression here as an assistant coach, and it's always nice when the owner digs you, you know, Al. Also, Mike did a pretty good job in his 2 years with the Lakers. That left a very positive impression also.
Ewing and Todd Day collide. It'll be a foul on Todd Day. Officials disagree. Hands pointing everywhere. And that face sort of told you everything you need to know about that play.
Oh, Charles Oakley. So careless with the ball. Let's feel it.
John, I'm holding the game ball right now.
Are you able to continue? Or are your goosebumps too distracting?
I feel like I'm part of the game now. A little sloppy in the last couple of minutes. Under 8 to go in the third.
Another steal by Murdoch.
They tried the alley-oop for Baker. Almost clicked, but he was too deep under the hoop. 10 on the 24-second clock. Blue Edwards making it fall, but the Bucks are in disarray on offense. There's no doubt about that. Harper up the floor, pestered by Murdoch again. The lead is an even 20 for the Knicks. Ewing draws 2. That leaves Bonner open, and he draws a foul. Patrick Ewing recognizing the double team very, very quickly.
Well, Patrick started the game passing the ball well, recognizing the double team, and he's really stayed in the groove. Best evidence of that is his 5 team-leading assists in the first half.
Anthony Bonner, a season of problems from the free throw line. Missing the first. And the second. But Ewing gets the offensive rebound and puts it right back. The Knicks up by 22. The Bucks have scored only 2 points in the last 3 minutes. Offensive fouls, turnovers, missed shots. Kenny Norman for 3, and he bangs it in. 11 points for Kenny Norman. Davis slips and slides and crossovers rejected by Baker. Oakley bothered by Edwards. 7 on the 24-second clock. Ewing posting up. And the ball gets away from Harper, and it will be an unsuccessful trip up the floor by the Knicks as the 24-second clock expires. And a timeout here at the Bradley Center. 6:21 to go in the third quarter. Knicks up 19.
Hey, if you're with AT&T, how'd you like a nice bonus? Just for spending $25 a month on AT&T long distance. It's easy. Just one call, and first you get 20% off with AT&T True USA Savings. And then a bonus. AT&T True Rewards. Points good for free frequent flyer miles and free AT&T minutes. And only AT&T gives you both. But to get your bonus, you do have to call AT&T.
Your true voice.
Hi there. How would you like to go for a test drive in this beautiful Grand Am?
All right.
Want to try it? Come on, I'll help you in. Just be careful. You got ABS power brakes.
Lots of room.
You got AC, automatic, AM/FM stereo cassette, driver's side airbag, which we hope we don't have to use today. You know, the Grand Am is $1777 down, $199 a month for 36 months.
$199 a month? It's a great deal.
Really enjoying that power steering, aren't we?
What, you nervous?
Just a little easy on the pedal, okay?
Final call.
We've got to move fast, Kirby. I hope your boat hurts.
Not exactly, but this company's fast. As fast as Hertz #1 club goal? Not exactly, but they do have a special place to pick up the car. Like Hertz? Not exactly, but it'll be waiting.
Under a canopy?
With the keys in it? Not exactly.
And protected from the weather?
Not exactly.
In Rent-A-Car, there's Hertz and there's not exactly. Make sure you choose the right one.
Counting on that promotion, Kirby? No, not exactly. Ah!
There's Senator Herb Cole, the owner of the Milwaukee Bucks, signing autographs, mixing with the fans here. He's the man who gave Mike Dunleavy the 8-year contract 2 years ago. And Herb Cole and other owners around the NBA are very careful to watch what's going on in Los Angeles. According to the New York Post Pete Vesey today, Rick Pitino may be in line for a $21 million contract over 5 years. And some interesting things come out of that, like Don Nelson's contract guaranteeing him the highest paid salary of NBA coaches. Todd Day on a beautiful strength move again over Hubert Davis. Take a look at Todd Day. He started the game using that height advantage over Hubert, and he continues. But if that happens, Al, that means Don Nelson would get approximately $3 million raise.
So this news is very well received in Oakland, California tonight.
Oh, wow. Can you imagine? Also, Mike Dunleavy here, according to the column that Pete had today, is guaranteed to be in the top 5 coaches no matter what happens. So Rick Pitino, who denied those reports as to why he was in L.A., reportedly there for a golf tournament. I seem to recall Rick denying such moves prior to him going to Kentucky from the Knicks a couple of years back.
Every once in a while, a deal is made between, well, most times it's a player, you know, that restructures everything in the sport, and this is the deal that's going to do it for the coaches. And John, don't you think, you know, Pat Riley comes in, he's got the rings. That'll get you the respect. But in this world where players are making millions, if your coach comes in without a ring, if the players can respect one thing, it's a big contract. Think that works?
I think it depends on the personality, Al. It's a whole mix of craziness that goes into what makes a good NBA coach. It really is. I mean, there's so many diverse personalities and backgrounds. Pat Riley certainly has it. He's earned it with the many things that make up Pat Riley.
Derek Harper with the foul. At the other end of the floor, Patrick Ewing reached the 20-point plateau. Third Knick in double figures. Harper has 16 and the foul there, so he's not happy at the moment. Davis with 13. Eric Murdoch steps to the line. He has 10 points, 9 assists. 4 Bucks in double figures. And Murdoch drops it in to make it 77-59.
One of the things you know that the Knicks want to do better is handle the ball. They'll be facing backcourt pressure on Sunday against Chicago like they haven't faced in a while. So you know Pat Riley's really focusing on how his team is going to handle the ball tonight.
Todd Day for Blue Edwards, who lets it go in a hurry. Swooping in for the rebound, Todd Day. Nicely done by him. Norman the alley-oop intended for Baker, and that just missed. An exciting sequence for Milwaukee, but they got nothing for it. Harper, the low post Ewing. He got position, but was quickly swarmed. Bucks running. Norman can't hit. Couldn't hit again. And Davis comes down and is fouled by Murdoch. It's a loose ball foul on Milwaukee. Third foul on Murdoch. Charles Smith checking in for the Knicks, replacing Anthony Bonner. Bonner leaving with 6 points, 3 rebounds. I'm sorry, it's Charles Oakley. And Derek Harper is replaced by Greg Anthony. Bonner was all set to take a seat.
Despite their being outplayed and outmanned, the Bucks are playing hard. You know, Pat Riley wants to see his team continue to work and blow this lead open even bigger than it is, and Anthony Bonner starts things off. No, he doesn't want his team walking out of this game with, you know, like a 6 or an 8-point win. The Knicks want to finish in a big high emotionally here in Milwaukee. About 4 minutes left on West Madison at the stadium, and the home team Bulls are down 6 to Boston. Anthony, Smith open, but so is Bonner. Good fake. He's blocked from behind, screaming for the foul, but Blue Edwards isn't waiting. Murdoch around Smith, and he draws a foul. Well, the Bucks spring to life here in the closing minutes of the third. Charles Smith called for the foul, and Eric Murdoch will go to the free throw line again. Eric Murdoch, as you see, perfect from the line tonight, now in his 3rd season. First round pick by the Utah Jazz in 1991. And he came over from Utah in June of 1992 along with Blue Edwards, and the 23rd pick in the 92 draft for Jay Humphreys and Larry Kristoviak. And he's on the verge of stardom in the NBA.
Hubert Davis left with 13 points. Rolando Blackman back in. He's the only Knick to play and not score. Change that. He hits the 3, and every Knick to play tonight has scored. Knicks back above the 20-point margin in terms of their lead. Lowhouse over Ewing. Nothing doing. Blackman is there. It's taken on the look of an exhibition game. Blackman for another 3. Ewing battling. And Milwaukee's Eric Murdoch, I believe, was on the line. They said he had possession, so the Knicks will inbound. John Starks on the Knick bench with the team on the road and very close.
Yes, John's return is expected to be next Thursday, the opening game of the NBA playoffs. He'll go to Charleston with the team and work even harder. And you know he will be greeted warmly by the Knick fans and, of course, his teammates.
Beautifully done by Eric Murdoch. John, before the game on Knicks game night, you spoke with Doc Rivers. Monday's an important day for Doc. He'll find out. And it sounded as though he has input on this, whether he'll be on the Knicks playoff roster.
He was very graceful, though. I asked him what would he do if he was Pat Riley. And he has also said, Al, he wouldn't be ready until maybe the third round of the playoffs. Nice lead pass to Flew Edwards. I don't think it's likely that he will be on the roster, but it is being considered.
8 points for Blue Edwards. Knicks up 81-64.
The Rangers battle the Islanders again in Game 5, Monday night on MSG2.
We were moving. Margaret called and said if we put both our new house and car.
For a mortgage, and we can prove it. A Saxon certified buyer's bond tells you exactly how much money we've been approved for.
If you're thinking of purchasing or refinancing, call Saxon National for your free buyer's bond at 1-800-803-BOND.
Saxon National. It's where you're gonna get the money.
Back in New York, Pat Riley's Knicks up 81-64 with 2:21 to go. John, we've been reading virtually all the newspapers, haven't we?
Yes, Al, on the plane coming out here, we touched them all, including the Village Voice this week.
Covering the right, the left, and the middle. Patrick Ewing fouled by Brad Lohaus. And Patrick Ewing will go to the line.
4 team foul.
The article that we were talking about was written by John Stravinsky as Ewing hits the first. The headline, Phil Jackson, crybaby or hipster genius. And the cartoon is great. People, New York fans throwing apples at Phil Jackson, of course, the ex-Knick. And the article, I think one of my favorite lines in it. Let's see if we can find it. He convinced Bulls GM Jerry Krause that a former acid-dropping West 19th Street hipster could handle the league's corporate culture.
Well, Jerry Krause is looking pretty smart, isn't he? Phil Jackson, top candidate for NBA Coach of the Year, finally.
Lohaus goes to get Ewing, flying by. Kenny Norman gets in for the offensive follow. Ewing takes the ball away from him. Charles Smith hits as the Knicks get up the floor in a hurry. Back up by 21. Every time the Bucks make a minor dent in the Knick lead, the Knicks push it right back up. Murdoch is having a great second half, drawing the foul, and he will go to the line for Milwaukee. Let's go to Mike Crispino at the MSG Sports Desk.
All right, thanks, Al. Here's the story from Chicago. Just moments remaining. The Boston Celtics had opened a 7-point lead at 84-77 on the jumper by D. Brown. It's now been cut to 2 with just moments left.
Okay, Mike, we'll be keeping an eye on that one as it reaches its closing moments at Chicago Stadium. Eric Murdoch missed his first free throw. Derek Strong checks back in from Milwaukee. Now, John, did you have a favorite quote from Mr. Stravinsky on Phil Jackson?
Terrific article about a coach that so many people in New York have a lot of feeling and knowledge of. I did enjoy the part about the head games. The quotes, as Michael Jordan called them, Phil's head games. So Spike Lee will like the depiction of himself there in the upper left, I'm sure. Spike, one of the loyal Knick fans, of course. Jackson said, I try to chide without criticism. I use sarcasm, but not deep sarcasm. He, like Pat Riley and most coaches, play all kinds of games to get their players over 82 games to give their best. And it's interesting how the styles differ somewhat.
Murdoch off. John, this reminds me of FDR's fireside chats. We're reading to the viewers.
Well, John Stravinsky really captured Phil Jackson quite well.
Oakley got the feed from Smith, and another foul. 35.9 seconds to go in the third quarter. Eric Murdoch, I think, just got his second technical foul of the game, and he's gone. Murdoch's on his way out of here. After the foul, he got called for a quick tee and just walked off the floor. Eric Murdoch was having a great third quarter. He leaves with 15 points and 10 assists, and there was no argument, no emotion. He saw the tee and started walking away.
You know, I thought that collar that Mike Dunleavy is wearing was copyrighted by Pat Riley in L.A. You know, that rounded collar? By golly, Mike Dunleavy, a very dapper man himself, picked up on it, I guess, when he was out in L.A. Take a look at the foul call now. Murdoch grabbing that basketball with the foul being called, and you can see in replay why a player reacts the way he does sometimes. It looked like he had all ball.
Okay, for a moment we thought Mike Dunleavy had gotten the tee. That appears now not to be correct. It was definitely Eric Murdoch, and he is gone. Well, John, maybe when Mike Dunleavy was in L.A. coaching the Lakers, he assumed some sort of a franchise right to that collar.
Obviously, right.
So maybe it wasn't Pat Riley's collar. Maybe it's just, you're the head coach of the Lakers, you can have that collar. Lowhouse off again from the baseline. And somehow the Knicks came away with the ball. You may have heard the Knicks bench saying, same team. They were right there in the same neighborhood. 4 seconds to go.
You notice Pat Riley going with his lead players throughout this game.
Greg Anthony, beautiful arc to that shot. With 7/10 of a second to go, Greg Anthony gives the Knicks a 92-65 lead, and Lee Mayberry just misses at the buzzer that ends the third quarter. Pat Riley 12 minutes away from win number 700, and the Knicks will be going up against him Sunday.
Here's to you. I wasn't even looking when my
Priority Mail. We deliver for you. And by Mobile One. It keeps your engine running like new.
Remember, when you're having good times with friends, use good sense and drink responsibly, because friends know when to say when. A reminder from Budweiser.
Bango the Buck getting involved here at the Bradley Center. Sometimes on some nights it seems like the basket does do that, I'm sure, to these players. But Bango did have a heart. He did let the little guy dunk on the small hoop. Early moments of the fourth quarter, Knicks up big, 92-65, and if you don't believe us, there it is. Bango the Buck. It'll be Bucks ball out of bounds. Knicks started out sizzling from the floor. They've kept it up above 50% now, 55% in the game. Bucks at 39%, and John, these Bucks are so consistent when they play the Knicks. They score in the 80s and they shoot in the 30s. Anthony Cook fouled on the putback. Herb Williams commits the foul. So the final seconds of the Chicago-Boston game at Chicago Stadium. Mike Crispino keeping an eye on that in New York.
Anthony Cook joined the Bucks on January 15th from the Orlando Magic, along with the Magic's conditional 1994 first-round draft pick for Anthony Avent.
Bulls have the ball with 10 seconds to go in the game with Boston tied at 84. Should Chicago lose, Atlanta has a chance to clinch the Eastern Conference with a win tomorrow. Should Chicago lose and Atlanta lose, Chicago would still be the Eastern Conference winner because of a better head-to-head record against the Hawks if they beat the Knicks on Sunday.
Noteworthy move by Greg Anthony moments ago, setting up Charles Smith nicely.
Nicely done by Anthony Cook. And again, if the Hawks lose tomorrow against Orlando, and that's on NBC, and the Knicks win tonight, and it certainly looks as though they're on their way to doing that, and win Sunday, the Knicks win the Eastern Conference.
Last time down court, Greg Anthony with a penetrating move, drawing the attention of the big men on the Bucks, and Charles Smith had it easy right after that. Those are the kind of moves that Greg Anthony did not make the earlier part of the season.
Oh, what a great look. Charles Oakley is becoming an absolute master at delivering this pass. Most times it's Ewing. That time it was Smith. The alley-oop to give the Knicks a 96-68 lead. 15 points for Charles Smith.
Well, Mike Dunleavy can't be happy with what he's seeing in Derek Strong. Strong is kind of an observer out there, not that involved defensively. Well, Oakley with the beautiful pass that you're referring to, Al. That was Charles Smith on the finish.
Lee Mayberry at the line. He's averaging only 5 points a game this season. He had his season best, 17 points against the Detroit Pistons. And they're going to overtime at Chicago Stadium. At the end of regulation, it's 84 all. The Bulls unable to make anything happen in those final 10 seconds. Greg Anthony guarded by Lee Mayberry. Charles Smith. And Greg Anthony hits another jump shot. They're falling for Anthony.
Now, Mayberry's known as a defender. That's the quality that he brought into the NBA. And Greg Anthony handled that quite well, that defense by Mayberry.
Way off on the shot taken by Derek Strong. Joe Courtney has checked into the game for the Milwaukee Bucks. A free agent pickup in the first week of March. Smith's shot in and out. Anthony Cook for Strong. Strong looks for Mayberry. He blows the layup after he broke away from Anthony's defense. Oakley and Blackman up with Anthony. Oakley from long range. Eric Anderson getting set to check in, and this would be big-time minutes for Eric Anderson.
Derek Strong.
98-71, Knicks by 27.
Well, the Knicks enjoyed a 48-point victory last night. Doesn't look like they're going to get there tonight, but they can come mighty close.
Joe Courtney makes his presence felt. 98-73. First points for Courtney.
You know, that 48-point win last night brought back some memories. It was the third time the Knicks won a game by 48. Did it in 1972 against the Sixers, 1968 as well over Detroit, the night that saw Dave DeBusschere wearing a Knicks uniform for the first time.
Loose ball inside. Derek Strong is fouled. And substitutions. Eric Anderson checking in for the New York Knicks. And Charles Oakley gets a break. Anderson now has hit 2 buzzer beater 3-pointers, taking only 2. Oakley leaves with 8 points and 9 rebounds. But he was hustling and working. He's on the floor. It seemed as though every time you looked up, down he went.
You know, Al, I want you to take a good long look at Charles Oakley as much as you can, how he looks tonight, because this may be the last time you see him with a full head of hair.
Oh, what a move by Greg Anthony. The spin on this ball is what made it work.
Greg under all kinds of pressure, using his offhand, the right hand, to finish that shot. A sensational drive.
And the free throw. John, you're referring to the baldness.
Yes, Charles indicating he might shave off his hair before the game against Chicago, maybe after. He hasn't quite committed himself, but
he has committed himself to the site of the cutting, though. Isn't it a barber shop or a salon in Harlem, I believe?
Yes, yes. Well, obviously, if he does it before the game in Chicago. He's going to have a very fast plane now. Talking to Doc Rivers before the game about that. And Doc was saying that a bunch of the guys at dinner last night, Rolando Blackman, the reason he is using for not wanting to do that is that he's afraid his hair won't grow back. Which is a very diplomatic Blackman type response, I'd say.
He's got that exhibition feel, there's no doubt about it. Anthony trying to go alley-oop for Smith, couldn't make it happen. 7:20 to go. John Barry thought twice about it. Joe Courtney fouled, and it will count. I don't quite understand the ball thing. I mean, Miami tried it. They all went ball. Didn't help them. When their hair started coming back, that's when they started winning the game.
Well, Al, I instruct you to go into the locker room after the game and explain that logic to this man.
Well, that's not happening. And I think we can expect to see the black sneakers again.
Yes,
in the
you're
playoffs.
right. That seems to be something that has been accepted and sold internally.
Greg Anthony rejected. Howie Singer, the person, maybe the only one, who remembers that it was Kennard Winchester's idea to start that. Barry goes around Williams. Mayberry, it's a 2. All net. The fans getting a little enthused here as the Bucks are doing their best to at least make it palatable. But it's still 101-79.
Now, a coast-to-coast savings event that only comes once a year. Announcing the National Jeep Sale at your Jeep and Eagle dealer, where you can buy or lease Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo at special savings. Get $300 cash back when you buy or lease Jeep Wrangler. Or get special savings when you buy or lease Cherokee Sport with no charge air. So hurry in today, because while our vehicles know no limits, our sales do.
We give birth to the product.
2-465-4100.
They're an eye.
6:25 to go. 2 minutes in overtime. Boston hanging in there, leading the Bulls by 1. Knicks here leading big, 101-79, with 1 game to go in the regular season after this for both teams. Eric Anderson hits from long range.
Oh, I can hear those New York fans now, Al. They greet Eric Anderson so strongly, and when he hits those shots,
he's the new people's choice. Anthony for Blackman. Barry sails by, and Greg Anthony resets. Greg Anthony has it working. That's a 3-pointer for Greg. 13 points for Greg Anthony. 3rd 3-pointer.
Worst part about going up in the air, not knowing what you're going to do, is throwing that ball into the hands of the opposition. That's what Cook just did.
It was the first 3-pointer by Greg Anthony as Corey Gaines checks in, and Greg Anthony leads. 13 points for Greg and 6 assists. 5 of 10 shooting. The Knicks shooting tonight was superb.
Always interesting to me how the coaches greet a player when he comes off the floor. Now, you would tend to think there'd be a big reaction to Greg when he came off the floor. He played very well. And it was like a ghost walked by, you know. The coaches really play mind games, don't they?
But that way, when he does do something, it really gets your attention. 108-79.
It's like he's been playing so well now, you know, they don't want to react, I guess, every time he comes off the court.
5 Knicks in double figures, 7 last night. Everyone who's played has scored. 22 for Ewing, he's on the bench. Harper with 16, Smith with 15. 13 apiece for Davis and Anthony. Bucks led by Eric Murdoch with 15 points. He's been ejected with 2 technical fouls. Their collapse began in the second quarter, and it has continued here in the second half. This was a 3-point game at the end of 1. Anderson fakes around Baker, and a 3-second violation on Charles Smith. So the Bucks will inbound. Milwaukee playing for what percentage they will have in the lottery to get the top pick, and the honor of spending another $20 million or so.
Well, the Bucks have plenty of money, Al. They have all kinds of salary slots to absorb salaries through trades, free agent signings, draft choices. They have $1.9 million from Frank Burkowski, $1.7 million from Danny Shays, $1.25 million from Orlando Woolridge, and over $500,000 from Anthony Abent. That's around $5 million that Mike Dunleavy has to spend on improving his team.
And a timeout called by Mike Dunleavy. 4:16 to go. Knicks 108. Bucks 81.
Don't miss the New York Knicks as they head into the playoffs. The countdown begins right here on MSG Network, the best in the game.
You'll love the Anderson Frenchwood patio door for the beauty it brings to a room and for what it doesn't bring. In fact, the Anderson Frenchwood patio door is so weather-tight, there may be only one way air and moisture can get through it. Get the book that's filled with Anderson window and patio door ideas.
Available at Nassau Suffolk Lumber. No one covers Long Island like Nassau Suffolk Lumber.
I buy all my cleaning supplies in bulk to save money.
And it's a groovy store.
Hey, you never got enough toilet paper.
They have paper plates, cups, plungers.
And they deliver right to my door. I didn't even tip them.
Oh, please, I don't even clean. And if you don't shop here, you're a geek.
You gotta be kidding me. Ocean Janitorial Supply. Bad commercials, good service.
Did I say Greek or geek?
That was good. Try it one more time.
Well, in spite of some tremendous adversity presented by injury, the Knicks have accomplished some great things this season. 15-game winning streak, and they've done perfect things against Washington, Boston, Cleveland, Indiana, Detroit, and in 4 minutes and 16 seconds, Milwaukee. And it would be their first sweep of the Bucks since 68-69. Those are the baby days, the infancy days of this franchise. And Pat Riley is 4 minutes and 16 seconds away from winning his 700th NBA game. 90-90, 45 seconds to go in overtime at Chicago Stadium. Corey Gaines getting minutes. Eric Davis getting minutes. Herb Williams, Rolando Blackman, Eric Anderson. These are guys that play together a lot in practice. Gaines going glass for 2. Eric Garber's cracking up. It's the kind of back-to-back session that the Knicks needed. Against weaker competition, albeit, but still your confidence has to feel good when the shots go in. And they have in the last 2 games.
Corey Gaines now setting himself up for a pass. Goes inside, gets it right back. Accepts the dare. Did I hear off the glass from Corey Gaines, Al?
Did not call it. John Barry hits the free throw. His father Rick had a rough season. He was coaching in the CBA, went into a tailspin, a losing streak, and then was fired in his first season as a head coach. 110-83, 3.5 to go. Anderson. Oh, he's got the touch. Patrick Ewing in a state of complete relaxation. Leaning back, legs crossed. Anderson spots Gaines. Barry is with him. And he draws the foul. Patrick Ewing up, and the Knicks bench is applauding the bench players.
Fourth team foul.
Corey Gaines enjoying some moments of freedom here. Nice pass from Anderson. Patrick Ewing very happy with his teammate's success.
Three minutes to go. Our last regular season cable cast of the Knicks here on MSG. Sunday they'll be on NBC. This win will bring the Knicks record to 56-25. The third consecutive 50-win season for the Knicks. Pat Riley has never not had a 50-win season after 12 seasons in the NBA. Scottie Pippen just missed a couple of free throws at Chicago Stadium in the final seconds. They're still tied.
I would think the Bulls' confidence will be shaken greatly by the lowly Celtics doing this in Chicago.
2.5 to go. Oh, Rolando Blackman breaks free, and that's a great assist as well. Blackman now with 5 points.
Corey Gaines showing people something with that pass.
Murdoch way off. Anderson and Gaines team up for the rebound.
That was a Mayberry, Al, who showed Gaines a very tough move on that, and Gaines really stayed with him.
Thanks for the correction, John. Murdoch was gone a long time ago.
2 minutes.
John Barry for three. It's off. And a timeout is called as Corey Gaines was flying out of bounds. Well, the Knicks can smile and enjoy this one. Patrick Ewing's enjoying just about everyone over there right now. This eases the pressure a bit. You know, they had lost 6 of 9. They win big last night, and they're winning big again. Moments ago, not the Patrick Ewing you see every night.
That's for sure. Boy, that's a loose guy. Great sign for this team to be loose. They have their confidence back. They've shot the ball well. They've defended. Granted, the opponents haven't been the best, but the psyche is such that the Knicks have gotten their enthusiasm back. It's a very important part of a team's quest to go to the next step.
John, they're like the little rascals over there.
If they knew what was going on in Chicago, they'd be even more gleeful.
Anderson's shot is off. Anthony Cook the rebound. Mercifully, only 90 seconds to go in this fourth quarter. The Bucks came out and played hard, and then reality set in. This will be their 61st loss of the season. And with absolutely zero enthusiasm, Todd Day and Derek Strong check into the lineup. Frank Campbell, the assistant to Mike Dunleavy. And the contrast of emotions from one bench to the other.
Despite what you may think, the Milwaukee Bucks are not weeping, and they know what the future is, and they're building this franchise, which is why they traded Burkowski, have made moves to get draft picks, and are going young. They know they have to redo this whole franchise, and that's what they're doing.
They're going to double overtime at Chicago Stadium, tied at 90. 80 seconds left. Derek Strong. He's played very well tonight, John, don't you think?
I think he's actually, Al, I don't think he played that well on the boards. That's where I've been disappointed in him. He didn't establish a physical presence out there. He kind of watched a lot happening, but he's just showing us he can shoot the ball, certainly. And Mike Dunleavy is giving him a long look.
9 points, 6 rebounds for Derek Strong. 50 seconds to go. An air ball seems an appropriate way for that possession to end. Smith gains. Do they go to Anderson again for another 3-point buzzer beater? It will be Nick Ball with 39 seconds to go. For a team that struggled to break the 100-point mark for most of the games they played this season, the Knicks score 130 last night and 125 up to this point tonight. The Knicks are up by 40 points. Anderson with a big rebound. Gaines with Smith, who wanted the alley-oop, but Gaines lost it. Anderson, Smith, and it will be Nick Ball. And that should just about do it here in Milwaukee. That is it. The Knicks have beaten the Milwaukee Bucks, and Pat Riley has reached a milestone in his career, joining the greats who have patrolled the sidelines in the NBA. He now has 700 career wins, and it is, in all respects, a lapper for the Knicks. 125-85, and as he said before the game, Pat Riley would credit all the players that he has coached in his 12 seasons in the NBA. The Knicks take control of this game in the second quarter and just roll on. They've won 2 in a row now. And the final once again, 125-85. We will begin our post-game wrap-up on MSG when we bring you back to the Bradley Center in Milwaukee after this.
On April 22nd, somewhere in the desert, nuclear arms are going to be tested. Budweiser presents Evander Holyfield, heavyweight champion versus Michael Moorer, the #1 contender. Live from Caesars Palace, only on pay-per-view. Call your local cable operator to order. Find a television and take shelter.
2 years ago, I blew out my Achilles. I said I'd be back. Everyone else said I was finished. All I gotta say is, step under this. And we'll see who's finished.
Only the love can make you a player. You got the love?
Since your face can't adjust to your razor.
Lenny Wilkins, Jack Ramsey, Dick Motta, Bill Fitch, Cotton Fitzsimmons, Don Nelson, Gene Shute, John McLeod, and now Pat Riley. With 700, he's 10th on the all-time wins list in the NBA coaching history. On the scoring summary brought to you by your Tri-State Jeep and Eagle dealers, Patrick Ewing started cold, finished hot. 22 points for Patrick Ewing, who also had great vision tonight, 6 assists and 6 rebounds. Charles Smith played with impact. He had 17 points and grabbed 3 rebounds. Derek Harper, 16 points, and great shooting percentage for Harper, 6 of 8 from the floor. As Pat Riley watched his Knicks shoot the ball well and win easily. For the Milwaukee Bucks, Eric Murdoch had 15 points, was ejected with 2 technical fouls in the second half. Vin Baker had the double-double in the first half, but only had 4 second-half points, 14 points and 13 rebounds for the University of Hartford rookie. Todd Day, 13, and Kenny Norman, 11. It was a very dispirited group of Milwaukee Bucks who lost for the 61st time this season. The Knicks have their way in Wisconsin. Back in a moment.
On April 22nd, somewhere in the desert, nuclear arms are going to be tested. Budweiser presents Evander Holyfield, heavyweight champion versus Michael Moorer, the #1 contender. Live from Caesars Palace, only on pay-per-view. Call your local cable operator to order, find a television, and take shelter.
Don't miss the spectacular grand opening of the newest Nobody Beats the Wiz Superstore in New Jersey, Thursday, April 28th on Route 9 in the Gateway Shopping Center in Old Bridge. 40,000 square feet of everything that defines state-of-the-art in home electronics. Computers, cameras, music, movies, and more. Prices have been slashed in every department in every Nobody Beats the Wiz store. Old Bridge, you'll never again have to say, we want our Nobody Beats the Wiz, because on Thursday, April 28th, you get it. Nobody beats the Wiz.
That was some storm we had last night.
At times like this, it's reassuring to know that MetLife has the resources to pay every single customer claim, no matter how many come in at one time.
Get Met. It pays.
If you demand more from an after...
shots, and Derek Harper finished 6 of 8 from the floor, 4 assists, 16 points. He is our Hilton Player of the Game in tonight's Knick victory, and he's out on the floor right now with John Andres.
Thank you, Al. Last night 5 for 8, tonight 6 for 8. Derek, you have recaptured the touch in a big way. What's the difference in your shooting now?
I think I'm getting better looks right now. I think when I went through the little struggle, it was tough to get comfortable shots, and right now they're coming comfortable. People are double teaming Patrick, and it's just opening up the outside shots for us.
Derek, what do you think the last couple of games now have meant to the team? The scores are big now, but it seems to be a looseness taking over the Knicks right now, and how would you express what's going on?
Well, I think more than anything, it's given us some confidence as a basketball team. When you fail to win, I think you lose confidence as a team, and you know, we needed wins just like we've had them over Philly and Milwaukee to sort of give us something to build on to end up the season. I think regardless to what happens, I think we needed to end the season up the way we're ending it, and hopefully we can go up to Chicago and do the same thing on Sunday.
I have an update on a score. I was just telling Derek Harper moments ago about the difficulty Chicago is having with Boston right now in the second overtime. Derek, I'm here to tell you that Boston is leading by 5 with a little over a minute to go in the second overtime. What do you think of that?
For the first time in my life, I'm going to root for Boston for the first time. I hope they beat
you
Chicago.
And Pat Riley.
I hope they beat Chicago tonight.
Now, do you share some of the glee that Pat Riley must have but won't show about his 700th career win tonight?
No, because Coach Riley said he got most of them against Dallas before I came out here. So I'm happy for him, but I have mixed emotions about it.
Derek holding his ground, showing some backbone on that response. Derek, the team in general right now, are you ready for Sunday?
I think so. I think we realize the importance of the basketball game against Chicago. It's a big game for us. And again, it's a game that we can finish the season up on a positive. And I think anytime you have that opportunity, you got to go for it. So hopefully we'll be ready to play against them.
Now, is there a huge letdown having lost that game to Atlanta, or is the team over that?
I think we've been able to snap back. I think anytime you lose, like I said, you have to try and come back from it. And I think after you lose, everyone is looking to see how you bounce back. And I think we've bounced back pretty well. Hopefully, again, we can win against Chicago and get ready for the playoffs.
Okay, Derek, congratulations on 2 excellent games for you and the Knicks, and we'll look forward to seeing you Sunday. Thanks for coming out. I know Derek needs some ice on his knee. He was gracious enough to come out. We appreciate it.
Thanks. Take care.
Okay. Now let's go back to Al.
All right, John, for joining us. Derek receives the American Express gift check. Think of it as a universal certificate that can be used to buy anything, including ice for your knees, just about anywhere. Gift checks are available where the American Express traveler's checks are sold. And some of our guests receive Bulova timepieces. Bulova, make every minute count with timeless elegance and precision design. The Marine Star collection from Bulova. Patrick Ewing also had a big night. Vin Baker strong in the first half, but not in the second when it counted. And Harper's range was perfect.
I finally made it to the big leagues. And my first game, we get the call. And I'm thinking, how lucky can a guy get?
Beechwood aged for that fresh, distinctive taste. Crisp, clean, classic.
In the beginning, it was just science.
So we added a pitch start touch.
Bulls on their home floor, 104-94. So the standings reflect now the Knicks and the Atlanta Hawks dead even after 81 games. The Chicago Bulls now 55-26, 1 game behind. Now, if Atlanta loses tomorrow and the Bulls win Sunday, the Bulls are number 1. If the Atlanta Hawks lose tomorrow and the Knicks win Sunday, the Knicks are number 1 in the East. Got it? It's still complicated heading into the last weekend. 125-85, Knicks look good. Coming up next on MSG, the full update from the MSG Sports Desk. Mike Crispino is there. He'll have the highlights of how the Celts beat the Bulls, Stanley Cup, Mets and Yankees. Thanks for joining us. Patrick Ewing enjoyed it. Hope you did too. With John Andres, I'm Al Troutwig in Milwaukee. We'll see you in the playoffs.
During the next 30 minutes, we will wrap up the regular season. We'll preview the playoffs. Doc Rivers will join me from Chicago Stadium. The Knicks, the Bulls, the Hawks each hope to finish with the best record in the East, thereby locking up home court advantage to the conference finals. The Hawks needed a win at home yesterday in their regular season finale against Orlando to lock up the top spot in the East.
Shaquille O'Neal had 27 points and 19 rebounds, but it wasn't enough. The Hawks got 15 assists from Mookie Blaylock, who shovels off to Stacey Augmon for an emphatic jam. Atlanta by 4 midway through the third quarter. Final seconds, Orlando within 2, but Anthony Hardaway loses it to Blaylock. And again, he finds Augmon for the clinching dunk. Augmon with 22 points, and Atlanta secures the home court advantage in the East.
We got it. We dug it out. We fought, and we got it.
And that's it right there. So here is how the standings at the top of the Eastern Conference look this morning. Atlanta comes in at 57-25. The Knicks a half game behind. Chicago 55-26. The Hawks claim the top spot because even if the Knicks were to win today, Atlanta wins the tiebreaker by virtue of a better conference record. And joining me now, my counterpart in Chicago, sports director of WMAQ Television, Mark Giangreco. Mark, welcome aboard. It's the last regular season game in the history of the famed and noisy Chicago Stadium. Are you a little bit sad about it?
I really am, Len. I'll tell you, a lot of memories in this old warehouse. Of course, they've got the new United Center going up across the street near completion, a spectacular building. Another one of those generic malls, though, that are being built around the country. This old place has got so many memories, perhaps more for the Blackhawks and their fans, but certainly the Bulls have their share, especially the last 5 or 6 years of the Michael Jordan era.
Do you think the new United Center will be as noisy and as much of a home court?
I don't think so. There'll be more seats. I'm not sure the Bulls crowd is up to that. You know, the Blackhawk fans tease the Bulls fans about being the $250 sweater crowd, that they don't get into it anymore, that they're spoiled rotten. That remains to be seen. There is no noise like the noise generated in this place, though, and I think you'll hear it today, although as much as we'd like to hype this, the game has lost its luster because of what happened the past couple of days. I think if the Knicks and the Bulls stay away from the macho ego thing, they'll just play it out, and that'll be pretty much it.
Well, but Chicago has made some statements, Scottie Pippen in particular, saying that they really don't respect the Knicks yet until the Knicks have beaten them and moved on towards the championship. Do you think those words might come home to haunt, particularly if they meet in the second round?
Well, I think then, but if the Knicks take that to heart today, and if they want to spend all their energy sending a message today, I think they'll really hurt themselves. You know, Len, the general consensus in Chicago is that the Knicks are in total disarray. I think the Anthony Mason incident shows that there is dissension on the team. Patrick Ewing will not be the MVP, and he apparently is upset about that. So the consensus here in Chicago is that the Knicks might not make it to the second round.
All right. Thanks a lot, Mark Giangreco of Chicago. I'm sure we'll see you along the way in the playoffs.
We probably will, Len.
And if the Knicks face Chicago in the second round, the Knicks would have the home court. Today's game will not decide that. So if the season ended right now, what would the playoff pairings look like? Well, Atlanta faces Miami. Knicks and Nets, wouldn't that be fun? But the Nets could finish 6th if Boston beats Cleveland and the Nets win in Orlando tonight. Chicago against Cleveland. Again, Cleveland could drop to 7th position. And Orlando against Indiana. And out west, Seattle with the best record in basketball hosting Denver. Houston against Portland, Phoenix and Golden State, and San Antonio faces Utah. And when we return, we will hear the reaction of Knicks players to Pat Riley's surprising admission that he failed in getting a key message across to the team.
The Knicks, the Bulls, on to the playoffs is brought to you by your New York, New Jersey, Connecticut team Pontiac dealers and by Colt 45 Malt Liquor. Colt 45 every time.
Hi there. How would you like to go for a test drive in this beautiful Grand Am?
All right.
Want to try it? Come on, I'll help you in. Okay, just be careful. You got ABS power brakes.
Lots of room.
You got AC, automatic, AM/FM stereo cassette, driver's side airbag, which we hope we don't have to use today. You know, the Grand Am is $1777 down, $199 a month for 36 months.
$199 a month? It's a great deal.
Really enjoying that power steering, aren't we?
What, you nervous?
Just a little easy on the pedal, okay?
You know, I was the first one in my family to go to college. It was a nice school thing, which is cool because now I can do some good things and get back what I learned. And the brothers, and they see me, and maybe they'll want to do something better for themselves, you know? Because the younger generation makes the same mistakes we do. I mean, whose fault is that? Man, there's just a lot of happening things, you know, around when you stop giving in.
Of anonymous luxury cars, a Jaguar remains defiantly individual.
Between winning and being a winner. With the Knicks stumbling most of the last couple of weeks, Riley appeared to be sending his team a message that it had better wake up fast or face a very short postseason.
It's not about winning basketball games or winning 55 games or 56 games because we can do that. But right now, we are lacking the overall attitude that a legitimate championship team needs to win.
I think one thing Coach has done, he's come out openly and accepted most of the criticism for what has happened, but we've also accepted our share. The only difference is we have not come out publicly and said it, but I mean, in private, we all feel that just as much pain as he's feeling right now.
As far as, Coach saying the things that he said, like I said, yeah, there's some truth to it, and yes, there's some motivation to it.
You got to be men about this thing, you know? I mean, we've been at this now together 3 years, 294 games. And, you always are tested, with trials by fire.
Well, Coach has done a tremendous job at not only coaching us X and O's wise, but motivating us. And it's time for us to take it on ourselves. Coaches can only do so much. It's up to the players to go out there and execute and bring the energy every night.
He can put us through boot camp practices and all of that kind of stuff. It still comes down to the players. It comes down to me and the rest of my teammates going out and getting the job done.
We've got, hopefully 2.5 more months. And I don't care what anybody says. It's all about believing that you're going to get it done because of what the circumstances are. And right now the circumstances don't look very good.
It does lead concern to a team that's slumping or not playing well at inopportune time. But it's a situation where we're a veteran team. We know what mistakes we've made, and we're going to learn from that. And it's not anything that's going to ruin the whole season.
The thing about this team is, though, we have to do little things in order for us to win. And those little things include offensive rebounding, playing tough, aggressive defense, getting back in conversion, things like that we're not really doing right now. And those really make the difference in our team.
I think you start to pick up habits that are extremely hard to break, and I think Coach Riley's concern right now is that we're too late in the season to be taking a step backwards. I think more than anything, he wants us moving forward, and we have to do that.
We have the talent and we have the team to win a championship. It's just all about us going out there and playing hard and making the plays that we need to make.
And again, the Knicks do hope to have John Starks back for the first round of the playoffs, which should begin later this week, either Thursday or Friday night at the Garden. The Knicks could be hosting the Nets. Now getting set to call this afternoon's game in Chicago, Marv Albert and Matt Gukers for NBC Sports. Let's check in with them now.
All right, Lennon, with that Eastern Conference race settled yesterday with the Atlanta Hawks win over the Orlando Magic, as far as the Knicks are concerned, the only thing to be determined is who will be their first-round opponent come the playoffs. And it will be either the New Jersey Nets or the Cleveland Cavaliers, and that is all pending the outcome of today's action.
And a tunnel series with the Nets could be frightening. New Jersey has taken 4 out of 5 during the regular season. And apparently Charles Oakley cannot defend Derek Coleman anywhere on the floor. And Kenny Anderson seems to be able to take the ball wherever he wants. That confident swagger that once belonged to the Knicks seems to have moved over to New Jersey. Now, Cleveland is the least dangerous team in the Eastern playoff scene. Injuries to Brad Daugherty and Larry Nance have rendered that front court too small. The Knicks could only hope to play the Cavaliers.
And the Cavaliers also must overcome the coaching of Mike Fratello, which is a point that Pat might be taking into consideration. The latest on Anthony Mason, he is still serving the suspension. It is an indefinite suspension. The playoff rosters must be set by 3 p.m. tomorrow. It's expected that John Starks will be reactivated, but the decision concerning Mason has not been announced.
And for the Knicks to go deep into the playoffs, they're going to have to get contributions from Anthony Mason and John Starks.
All right, so it's the Knicks and the Bulls coming up. We'll be back with the telecast in 1 hour from now. Let's get back to Len.
Okay, thanks, guys. And, gee, I have to assume that the Knicks will activate Anthony Mason as well as Starks for the first round of the playoffs. Coming up, a look at the rough way Knicks fans have treated Charles Smith. Are the Garden faithful too tough on the forward that they love to boo? We'll be right back.
Bring your world into focus with Chuck Scarborough, Carol Jenkins, Tom Brokaw. Weeknights beginning at 6. A full hour of the latest local, national, and world news. First, News for New York at 6. Chuck Scarborough, Carol Jenkins. The day's headline stories from 2 of New York's most respected journalists. Then, Tom Brokaw and Nightly News. Extensive coverage from across the nation and around the world. Chuck, Carol, Tom. Weeknights beginning with News for New York at 6. Bring your world into focus.
The only health care that works is health care that's accessible. You know it, and I know it. Everybody knows it. You know what's really nice is HIP knows it. So they're making some changes to back it up. They're putting more...
You're looking at the fountain of youth. Advanced Formula Mobil 1 synthetic motor oil. In a test, it protected an engine for 200,000 miles. The result? Vital engine parts that looked as young as the day they were born. There was virtually no engine wear. If you're looking for the fountain of youth, you'll find it in a container of motor oil. Mobil 1 synthetic. It keeps your engine running like new.
Welcome back. If there's one Knick who must come through in the playoffs, it is Charles Smith. Pat Riley calls him a great guy, but on the court, Smith hasn't yet lived up to expectations, and now he's hearing it from the fans. Here's a closer look.
Interesting, the crowd psychology not trying to encourage Charles. Charles hearing it from the crowd now, 0 for 3 from the line.
Charles Smith. Will the New York fans ever cut him a break?
I really don't like him. I wish that he wasn't on the team. I wish we had somebody else. I feel bad about that because I know the guy's trying to do his best every night, but he just drives me wild.
No question Smith is trying, but succeeding? Well, that's another story. The fans feel they have every reason to boo.
Charles Smith, I think he's a GOAT. I think he's a GOAT? Yeah.
I've been around a situation like this, you know, where, you know, a player has been so maligned because he's hurt. I don't care what anybody says. You know, I believe in him. I believe he can do the job for us.
You encourage him, and, you know, you just have to go out there and play. And, you know, right now, Charles just, you know, he's just thinking about it too much, I think. And, you know, I think he's going to be the key to what we do and how successful we'll be in the playoffs.
Smith continues to try and win over the fans, some of whom are in his corner.
I feel he's a pretty good player. I mean, I think he has a lot to improve. He's not one of the most dominant individuals in the league, but he's coming along quite well.
I think he can succeed in New York. I think he's going to come through for us. All we have to do is support him.
Smith is still paying for not getting it done in last year's playoffs against the Bulls.
Ewing for Smith. Smith. Stopped again by Pippen. What a play by Scottie Pippen.
My man right here, he feels like it's all Charles Smith's fault that the Bulls beat the Knicks last year because of that final play. But because he feel like he shouldn't have went up so many times.
Against the Bulls, you missed the layup. Okay, that's a clutch play. It's the difference between an okay player and a very good player.
Despite how rough he's had it, Smith says he doesn't want to leave New York.
Well, you try not to think about it. I got enough things to think about, just going out in the court and playing and, you know, dealing with what's going on within the team structure and trying to get off and play the way I want to play than to worry about the fans. So my mindset going into the game is I treat it like it's an away game.
Charles Smith, obviously the focus of the fans' frustration when the Knicks lose. Now, joining me now from Chicago is injured Knick guard Doc Rivers. Doc, were you surprised when you heard the booing of Smith the other night?
Yeah, you're always surprised when you hear that, especially from the hometown fans. You know, if you want a player to play better, booing is not the way to get him to play better. It's usually cheering, and so that always surprises you.
Doc, you know, you've been asked 8 zillion times, and it happens every day, but are you going to be able to play if this playoff series goes long enough?
I would probably be able to play. I don't know if we'll do it or not. It's still a risk. You know, I want to play a couple more years after this, but you also want to be there for the championship round, and if we can make it, I'd love to be healthy. I'm not saying I'd play or anything else, but if I could give the team 1 minute in some situation, I'd feel awful if I didn't give it the try.
Doc, this team is really stumbling towards the playoffs despite the couple of strong wins recently against weaker opponents. Are the players concerned that they might not be able to turn this thing around in time?
No, I don't think the players are concerned. I'm sure the coaches are always concerned. They're concerned when we're winning, though. So the players are feeling great. Guys are strong. Guys are getting healthy. John Starks will be back, hopefully, for the first round, and we like our chances.
Doc, it looks like it's going to be the New Jersey Nets. We'll certainly know later today. They've beaten the Knicks 4 out of 5 times. That has to concern the players a little bit?
Well, you always are concerned when a team has beaten you more than you've beaten them. We believe and we really feel we'll see in the playoffs. It's a new season, you know. You look at the Islanders and the Rangers, and we take note from that.
Well, but I've always been of the belief that it's very hard to turn things on and off, and I'm personally not sure the Knicks can just crank it back up when they need to.
I agree with that. I think it's really difficult to turn things on and off. I don't think we turn things off. I think we're just struggling right now. It's easier to struggle and get things going. If you turn things off, we haven't done that. We're just not playing good basketball right now, and there's a difference.
Okay, thanks so much, Doc. See you soon.
Thank you.
All right, of course, the advantage that the Knicks have here, the way they're going, is that they will have at least 4 days off. Pat Riley, as always, takes the club to Charleston, South Carolina, a chance for them to refocus. I found Matt Guokas' comments earlier very interesting, that should it be the Knicks and the Nets, he feels that Charles Oakley can't handle Derek Coleman anywhere on the court. So that would be the fascinating matchup to watch. But right now we're talking about Knicks and Bulls while they wrap up their regular season today. Michael Jordan is just getting into his regular season in baseball's minor leagues with the Double-A Birmingham Barons in the minor leagues. Yesterday, Jordan and teammates on the road visiting the Nashville Express. And, of course, Jordan, quite an attraction wherever he plays, including Nashville. And 2 more hits yesterday, including the single. Jordan is now hitting .333, hasn't made an error in 16 chances. And last night, picked up a stolen base. But that wasn't all. Jordan had a fine night, also belted a double to the base of the outfield wall. Baseball's now his sport. He still has some thoughts on the NBA's postseason.
I look at the playoffs now as a fan, just like most people, and I root for the Bulls. I hope for them to do well. I root for Charles. I root for Patrick, and those are my good friends, and certainly some guys who deserves to win. I'm a fan just like anybody else right now.
He's rooting for the Bulls and the Knicks. Still to come on our show, what were the high points of the Knicks' regular season? We'll also look at the lows of the long 82-game grind. up today. It does seem like the longest regular season of any sport, even though it's half the games of baseball. But with so many days off and spread over such a long period of time from last November, the NBA season seems like it will never end, and therefore we tend to forget all the injuries and the milestones and the controversies that go on during the course of a season. So we thought we'd put it together for you. Here now, our season in review.
The most ridiculous, predictable offense in this game. That's where it's true. It's the most boring, uninnovative, unimaginative offense in the history of basketball. I got 6 championship rings because of that position. I had an opportunity to win one as a practice player with Wilt Chamberlain. I had an opportunity to coach Kareem Abdul-Jabbar at that position. And I am blessed, above and beyond, to coach Patrick Ewing and throw him the ball every single time. And I will go to my coaching grave being predictable.
Riley made some lineup changes. The Knicks went unbeaten in March, but they also suffered another costly injury. John Starks tore cartilage in his knee, sending the team's second leading scorer off to surgery. With the Knicks having won 14 straight heading into April, the usually reserved Patrick Ewing boldly stated this was their year.
I mean, you almost have to believe it. I mean, we don't really want to put ourselves out there on a limb and say, hey, we know we're going to win it, because there's so many factors that you have to consider. Injuries, timing, just the overall welfare of the team.
The welfare of the team hasn't all been that good since the Knicks' winning streak ended in Miami on April the 5th. Now add in the suspension of a disgruntled Anthony Mason, and the best thing for the Knicks might be exactly what they have planned. Some time away from New York as they head to Charleston, South Carolina to prepare for the playoffs.
There has been a lot of inconsistency this year, and there's been a lot of, real disruptions that I think has affected the continuity of the team, which is what I've talked about. But, it's a whole new season, and then you got a chance to do something really good, and we hope that we can play for another 2 months.
And if you're wondering what those 2 months would look like, if form holds, the Knicks would play the Nets in a best-of-5. That will be determined today. The winner of that series would probably play Chicago. Now, just based on seeding, winner of that series, Atlanta, if all goes according to form. Atlanta would have the home court for that series, and then you still have the finals to contend with, and that would be Seattle, again, if the seeds hold. Another 2 months will be here every step of the way. That's our show. Please stay tuned for NBA Showtime, and then it's the Knicks and the Bulls live from Chicago Stadium coming up at 1 o'clock. I'm Len Berman. Thanks for watching, and enjoy the game, everybody.
Let's talk smart. Let's talk Eagle Vision. V6, power windows and locks, air conditioning, and automatic transmission. Let's talk safety. Let's talk lease. We're talking $229 a month. Hey, stop talking and go test drive a new Vision ESI. It's the least we can do for you.
This May, for the biggest movies, it's NBC. A convict is free, and now he wants revenge.
What's your connection with this fella? I was his lawyer.
Come out, wherever you are. One man's freedom becomes another man's fear.
If you don't leave my family alone, you're going to be hurt like you never dreamed. Hello? Do you mind if I put my arm around you?
Nick Nolte, Juliette Lewis, and Oscar winners Jessica Lange and Robert De Niro in the network premiere of Cape Fear, May 1st on NBC. Parental discretion advised. What would you do if you found out you couldn't sell your house because of something deep down underneath your home?
It's been such a horrendous experience.
What would you do if the house you planned to buy has a nightmare below?
This could bankrupt most people.
Could your home be one of the million in our area that might be sitting on a hidden time bomb?
Now I have a nightmare.
Watch a News 4 New York investigation and find out if you're living with an underground nightmare. A News 4 Extra, Thursday at 6.
Welcome to the Mazda Exceptional Sales Event.
Get exceptional deals on the Mazda 626 with loads of standard features. And an MSRP starting $1,500 less than a comparably equipped Camry DX. Lease a 626DX for $199 a month with just $750 down. But hurry, leases like this on 626 won't last long.
See your Mazda dealer today.
Mazda, it just feels right.
Getting the best possible rate on car insurance Monday.
This is the NBC Television Network.
It's a rivalry with a character all its own, often physical, always intense. The emotions right there on the surface. The numerous on-court confrontations leaving behind so many unforgettable moments.
Armstrong hand-checking start, goes baseline. Oh, you gotta love it. Ewing for Smith. Smith. Stopped again. What a play by Scottie Pippen. It's can't find the Bulls to get the foul. And Grant on the drive. East ball, it counts.
Today, it's the last regular season game ever in the Madhouse on Madison. Coming up, the Knicks and the Bulls.
This is NBA Showtime. Here's your host, Bob Costas.
And a look at Chicago Stadium, the grand old building on Madison Street, home to so many great moments over the years. Today, it will be home to a Chicago Bulls regular season game for the final time. Of course, the usual sellout crowd has gathered as the Bulls host the New York Knicks. Hi, everybody. Bob Costas in New York. The Insiders will join me shortly. We have a doubleheader coming up, starting with the Knicks and the Bulls from Chicago. Following that one, we'll bring you Seattle and Portland. Neither contest has any bearing on the conference playoff standings. However, our research staff has discovered something interesting about the Knicks-Bulls game. Should the Knicks meet Phoenix down the road in the NBA Finals, this game today will actually determine home court advantage in that matchup. And if that won't keep you glued to your television set, I don't know what will. With a game report, let's go to Marv Albert and Matt Gukas. Marvelous.
All right, Bob, and as you have indicated, the Eastern Conference seedings have been settled as far as the Knicks and the Bulls are concerned. So both coaches are just intent on looking to have their clubs finish the regular season on a positive note. We talked with both coaches, Phil Jackson and Pat Riley.
I've seen a real change in the last 5 or 6 days, you know, in the attitude of our players from the standpoint. They are excited. I think they're getting excited now about the playoffs. I do sense in Patrick and Oak especially a renewed energy. I mean, both players were very lethargic for about 8 or 9 days, and I was concerned about it. We've done a lot of resting this week. We're not trying to wear them out. We're trying to get ourselves ready for the playoffs, so we're physically and mentally fresh.
Playoff rosters will be set tomorrow at 3 o'clock. Will you put Michael Jordan on the roster?
I've already asked him to come back, but he said only as a pinch hitter.
Matt, just a joke, just trying to help out Phil a bit.
In professional basketball, there is no such thing as a meaningless game. And let's face it, these two rivals do not like each other. And both Pat Riley and Phil Jackson feel that once their teams hit the floor, the competitive juices will flow.
On the subject of Michael Jordan, it should be pointed out, Michael was in Chicago this morning. He was at a charity breakfast at his at his restaurant. However, he had other business to attend to and headed back to Nashville to rejoin his ball club, the Birmingham Barons. Checking my Birmingham Barons schedule, they are slated to go against the Nashville Express this afternoon. Let's get back to Bob.
All right, marvelous. And by the way, Michael Jordan hitting .333 and in the top 10 at this early stage in the league batting race in Double-A. Matt Gukas noting that no game in the NBA is meaningless. I checked my schedule. Tonight, Dallas plays Minnesota, a contest that may test Matt's theory to the hilt. The Atlanta Hawks nailed down the top spot in the Eastern Conference yesterday afternoon with a hard-fought 93-89 win over the Orlando Magic. As we take a look at last night's action, we start in Indiana, where the Pacers tried to clinch the 5th spot in the East. Indiana has momentum and a couple of team records heading to the playoffs. Reggie Miller will tip in 2 of his team-high 24 against Miami. The Pacers have clinched 5th in the East. It was their 47th win of the season and 8th in a row. Both best for the team since they joined the NBA.
Playing probably our best basketball we've played all year. 3 or 4 weeks ago, a lot of teams and a lot of people were writing us off because we were playing inconsistent.
Everybody's feeling pretty good. We're feeling pretty confident, so we can't wait for the playoffs to start.
New Jersey hosting Milwaukee, 8 nets in double figures, led by Benoit Benjamin with 20. They extend their season-best winning streak to 5. Meanwhile, Mike Dunleavy's team, thank heavens, the Bucks stop here. Their season ends with 15 straight road losses. So here's the rest of the playoff picture in the East. The Nets currently seeded 7th, likely to play the Knicks, but won't know until later today whether they play the Knicks or the Bulls in the first round. Out west, the Kings came back from 19 down against Phoenix. The rally happening with under 6 minutes left. Spud Webb hits the 3 here. He led everybody with 32. But check out this play. The inbounds pass from Danny Ainge banked off the backboard to Dan Marley. The Suns hold off the rally by the Kings and record their 7th consecutive win to close out the regular season as Barkley celebrates. It'll be Phoenix and Golden State meeting in the first round. The Warriors got a 27-point performance from Chris Webber, 2 coming on the nice setup from Chris Mullin. The Warriors have won 50 this year, and they've improved by 16 games over a year ago, despite several major injuries. Now, these are your brackets in the East. The only thing that could change is Cleveland and New Jersey could switch places if the Cavs lose to Boston and the Nets beat Orlando. Out west, all these matchups are firm. The Seattle and San Antonio series will be played Thursday and Saturday. The first 2 games in Houston and Phoenix will be played Friday and Sunday. And here is our playoff lineup for next Saturday. Both games feature the 4 versus 5 matchup, showtime at 12:30 Eastern, and then San Antonio hosting Utah. The Jazz won all 5 regular season games between the two. Game 2 is Indiana at Orlando. They split 4 regular season meetings. We hope to have our lineup for the Sunday triple-header, but we can't finalize it until later in the day. Coming up, the insiders bring their stuff to the table, including some thoughts on if he's playing in the playoffs, suspended indefinitely by Pat Riley on Thursday for complaining about lack of playing time.
You simply, in these situations, not just Anthony Mason, but everybody has to declare you're either in or out. You know, and you know, when you get to this time of the year, there can't be anything else other than, you know, complete support for each other and support for the team and what you're trying to accomplish.
Bill.
Anthony Mason, he's right in complaining about it. But you can never take that public. That all has to be done in-house. Riley did what he had to do in the suspension. Whenever I had a problem with Ramsey, I would always just negotiate the penalty in advance. And nothing was worth jeopardizing my position on the team. You got to be there when it's on the line on the court.
Who are you talking about, Ramsey Clark?
Jack Ramsey, my Hall of Fame coach at the Blazers.
I would have thought with your background, you would have done some plea bargaining with Ramsey Clark.
A very astute, if arcane reference to the Attorney General of the Johnson administration. Very nice. Raising the level of the show. But back to Riley and Mason.
Yeah, I'm a little disappointed in Mace. You know, I don't think that he did this type of stuff when he was in the CBA. And you can't forget where you came from. You know, you're on a team that is a real title contender here. And he's a valuable part of that. He's not the starter team. They have 3 All-Stars on that team. But he's probably the most versatile front court player. He can handle the ball against the press as he did in previous playoff series. And that was very pivotal to the Knicks' success. And he's got to be all the way in or all the way out. And I think this guy needs to be in for the Knicks to succeed. Doc, I like Anthony Mason also, but he did have this kind of attitude and conduct in the CBA and in Denver where he tried out before and with the Nets. So this is nothing new.
I think Riley should have done this earlier in his tour. I mean, Anthony's been rolling his eyes. He's been back talking. He's had a lot of bad body language since he showed up, and Riley hasn't done anything about it. And I think he had to win his team over at this point. He was desperate to do something, and this was a way to win back his team. But Anthony Mason, they're going to miss him a lot if they get into a fight.
Well, Riley again reasserts his authority, one of many reasons why he's always a Coach of the Year candidate, and there are so many legitimate candidates this year. George Karl and Phil Jackson and, of course, Lenny Wilkens. And in all of this, there's a guy who's overlooked, who isn't going to win it, but probably deserves to be mentioned.
Yeah, Larry Brown with the Pacers. There's no doubt the great job he's done. He's made the team believe in themselves, even though he's a screamer. He's on their cases in practice every day. But if you start out this season and look at that team when they traded Detlef Schrempf for Derek McKee, and everybody's looking at it as a terrible trade, and then Derek McKee comes with a bad hamstring, and they start out about 4-11 or something like that. I remember the owner, Herb Simon, called Donnie Walsh, and he said, Donnie, how much am I paying you? And Donnie said, why? He said, because whatever it is, it's not enough for all the abuse you're taking in the papers for that trade.
But look at the evolution of the Indiana Pacers. This has traditionally been a team that's been looked at as being very soft in the rougher Eastern Conference. You look at them now with Dale Davis, Antonio Davis, McKee, Smits up front. They're physical, they're powerful. They're a team that can cause a ton of problems, and that's Larry Brown's doing right there. But Rick Smits is a huge key for them. He's a guy who's lost 20 pounds at the instruction of Larry Brown. Most coaches tell their guys, hey, you got to bulk up, you got to lean and push. Basketball is running. Smits is doing that. He can do the damage like he did against Ewing and the Knicks in the first round last year.
Hey, one of my ABA teams is going to break through one year and win the ABA title.
You better
and
play for
maybe
it,
it'll be the Spurs this year, not the Pacers, but they certainly are a spoiler. They have 8 wins in succession going into the playoffs. They have great momentum, and Larry Brown happens to be an old ABA coach too, so it'll be exciting to see what happens to them. I think they're playing the spoilers role.
Well, we're looking toward the playoffs, but as the regular season ends today, appropriate to say some goodbyes, pretty close to definite, in some cases likely, for 4 major figures over the course of the last decade or more in the NBA. Isaiah Thomas, finishing up his playing career, injured the Achilles tendon, which is going to keep him off Dream Team 2. Many say the best little man in the history of the game, member of 2 Piston NBA champions. Moses Malone, who was the missing ingredient in 1983 for Doc's Philadelphia 76ers, who were on the verge. Moses took them there. Multiple MVP in the league, won it a couple of times with Houston. Magic Johnson back in the league for a short tour of duty, which proved unsatisfying for him with the LA Lakers. We'll see him probably in some front office capacity or maybe ownership capacity in the future, but he's gone from the sideline. And the indomitable chief of the Boston Celtics, Robert Parrish, part of the greatest front line with Bird and McHale in league history, and 3 championship teams with the Boston Celtics in the 80s. You played with him.
An underappreciated player, Robert Parrish, a guy who came every day, a guy who had the stoic look, but off the court, a barrel of laughs, the type of guy who you want to go to battle with because he did whatever it took to win the big games. He was always there, a big game player, Robert Parrish.
And you, of course, played with Moses Malone, and as I said, he was the missing ingredient. You guys had lost a couple of final series. You'd been on the verge. You needed him.
Oh, we definitely needed him, and whether it was practice or whether it was a game, I always felt with Moses Malone on my team that I was going to win. In that 83 season in which we went 65-17 and 12-1 in the playoffs was testimony as to how valuable he was. I think Moses endured through 20 hard seasons of basketball because of his talent, because of his grit, and he had this unbelievable willpower, and I think he's going to carry that throughout the rest of his life with him.
When we come back, a look at one of the best rivalries at present in the NBA. The Knicks and the Bulls, they, of course, meet today, and they could meet in the second round of the playoffs. We'll be back.
I have a job. Why would I go anywhere else?
Jiffy Lube, America's favorite oil change for busy people.
Remember to bring your car to Jiffy Lube every 3,000 miles.
What do you do when Four-Wheeler Magazine crowns you Pickup Truck of the Year? You leap up in the air. You take a bow. And you give the runners-up a big wet one up.
Patrick Ewing having another strong season. He, of course, has been through some wars with the Bulls and knows that a Knicks title run will likely go through Chicago somewhere along the line. Scottie Pippen was often the target of the Knicks' physical play, but in last year's Eastern Conference Finals, he had one of his best series ever as Chicago beat New York in 6. Now, in the late 80s and early 90s, the rivalry that defined the NBA's Eastern Conference was the Pistons and the Bulls. More recently, it's been the Knicks and the Bulls. The mix of New York's physical style with Chicago's finesse has made for some high-energy playoff collisions, and it would surprise no one if they collided again in the upcoming postseason.
I think deep down they respect us, but they just won't admit it.
Three years in a row in the playoff, losing to him was just a bad feeling. All we want is what they have.
When you look down there and you see those red uniforms, you know that they have 3 rings on their fingers. You know that they're trying to get a 4th. That's just something that it fuels something inside of you. I mean, it brings out the best because you're playing against the best.
It's frustrating for them and for them not to be able to get over the hump, and I'm sure they look at us as a team that stands in their way to fame and glory, so it makes it a little bit more intense.
We want to overcome that obstacle. You know, there's nothing sweeter than, you know, going through them to get to where we want to, you know, be. You know, it still feels just as good, but that much more, you know, that much sweeter to go through them.
It's always personal. It's always personal.
I wouldn't necessarily call it bad blood, but I would say that there's a certain amount of tension amongst the two teams where it can create bad blood.
What happened? Yeah, he thought him on purpose. Yeah.
Sure, we spent the whole day sharpening up our elbows, you know, making sure that our hip smashes are going to be right on, and you know that that's our game, you know, but you know, I mean, this is 3 years of that, so I don't pay much attention to it anymore.
When the New York paper started that, whining, whimpering, and complaining, that started it off. Since then, I have not quit on them. They just fed fuel to the fire. If they wanted, you know, they got their dose.
That's football, not basketball, so we're trying to get that point across.
We do not have a dirty team. We don't teach it. We don't condone it.
There's a difference between muscle ball and basketball.
I think the Bulls have no respect for us at all, from their coach right on down through their team, and they have a right to do that. I mean, they got the rings.
We do respect this team, and we do fear this team, not so much from their standpoint as play, but of their rough style. Guys are always looking over their back to see where the next blow is coming from.
Here's Pippen, rejected by Ewing.
Last month, during New York's 15-game winning streak, Jackson implied the Knicks weren't as good as the streak might suggest because it came against weak competition.
You got to look at the teams that we played, I guess, through that streak. I think they were a part of it. So I guess he's calling his own team weak.
Phil is smarter than everybody else. He really is. And so he always, you know, is got some very cute psychological statement that's going to open up people's minds.
I feel that this year that has not been the main focus of our team this year is the Knicks. And I don't know what that spells for the playoffs. It's kind of interesting whether we're not going to be there in the finals against them or they're not going to be there against us. Something, you know, just is a little bit different about this rivalry this time.
Now, in a New York-Chicago postseason meeting, if it happens, the Knicks would have home court advantage regardless of the outcome of today's game. Coming up, Marv Albert and Matt Gukas will bring you the Knicks and the Bulls from Chicago Stadium. We'll follow that with Seattle visiting Portland. Dick Enberg and Snapper Jones will have the call. And I'll see you at halftime. The NBA on NBC continues after these messages from your local station.
He was a perfect father, a loving husband, and the object of a mad woman's obsession.
Volkswagen Jetta for just $199 a month. So if you really want one, now you can afford your own.
Sue Simmons and Matt Lauer, only on 4 New York.
Chicago Stadium, the Madhouse on Madison. What a place. What memories. Believe that today the Bulls would make their way up the stairs for their last regular season game in this basketball shrine without him. And who could imagine, despite his loss and despite the doubts, that the Bulls could finish the season with one less win than last year's championship team? Can these Bulls be that good? Do they have what it takes to prove to all the doubters what they believed all along? And how satisfying would it be to end this season with a victory against the Knicks? After all, many feel the Knicks could be the team that would finally put an end to the Bulls' championship reign. Now, the Bulls are determined to leave a lot more memories behind before the doors of Chicago Stadium close for good.
What time is it? Game time!
This is the NBA on NBC. Today, it's the New York Knicks versus the Chicago Bulls.
It is a day of nostalgia here in Chicago. The usual capacity crowd, better than 17,000 turning out for the final regular season game ever at the stadium. It's been 65 years of memories, with the Bulls providing a host of special moments in recent years. Hi, everybody. I'm Marv Albert, along with Matt Gukas. We welcome you to the NBA Game of the Week. And with Atlanta knocking off Orlando yesterday afternoon, clinching top spot of the Eastern Conference, the top 3 seeds have been settled. Now, at the moment, this would be the playoff matchup pending today's games. It would be the Knicks in New Jersey in the first round, Chicago going up against Cleveland, which could lead to a second-round matchup of the Knicks and the Bulls.
And Chicago and New York better not even think about looking past the first round. However, they are on a collision course to meet in round 2, and the Bulls feel they have the edge because they've got enough big bodies to throw at Patrick Ewing, and that Horace Grant can more than hold his own against Charles Oakley. And the Bulls feel the Knicks are a brutal ball-handling team that can be pressured.
And for the Knicks, there are not happy memories of the Bulls and Chicago Stadium. They have lost 14 of the last 15 in regular season play here in Chicago. And the Bulls have knocked the Knicks out of the playoffs the last 3 years. The Bulls have shown a lack of respect for the Knicks. We talked about that with Knicks coach Pat Riley.
I think they deserve the right to. You know, when somebody's clamoring for something that they have and you want desperately, you know, the psychological ploy on their part has always been that we're not good enough, that we're too old, that, you know, there's a short window here for us, and never really gave this team the credit, you know, that we deserve, whether we believe it or not. So, I mean, I don't go to sleep at night worrying about gaining their respect, but I do think it's a ploy on their part to constantly dismiss what we've done in the past, and that's okay, you know.
Well, the Bulls have been waving their championship rings in the faces of the Knicks for the last 3 years, and Pat Riley recognizes it for what it is, a total lack of respect. But that's the way it's been in the NBA. Detroit had to overcome Boston. Chicago had to overcome Detroit. And until the New York Knicks knock out the Chicago Bulls from a playoff series, the Bulls just will not budge.
All right, when we come back, we will have the regular season finale at what is affectionately known as the Madhouse on Madison.
One of them demands something different from their Chevy truck, but they all want the same thing. The most dependable, longest-lasting trucks on the road.
New. Introducing Thompson's Water Seal Ultra Waterproofer.
It's better.
Easy to see coverage. Dries clear.
It's best.
The best multi-surface waterproofer you can buy. Beats the competition hands down. New Thompson's Ultra.
Not just better, best.
Every year, American business wastes millions on international calls using the wrong long-distance company. Now with MCI's proof positive worldwide, you can save up to 50% on typical calls to Europe. Call and put that money back in your business.
It could only come from here. A land forever frozen. Perfectly pure. And the home of ice. Molson Ice. Ice brewed in Canada by North America's oldest brewery. To be a few degrees colder, a few degrees bolder, yet smooth as ice. Molson Ice. From the land where ice was born.
The NBA on NBC is brought to you by Molson Ice from Canada, the land where ice was born. By Castrol GTX, engineered for today's smaller cars. And by Chevrolet Trucks, the most dependable, longest-lasting trucks on the road.
This is the 335th consecutive sellout here at Chicago Stadium, part of the charm here at the stadium in recent years, the unique presentation of the starting lineups. Let's go to Ray Clay on the public address.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We'd like to welcome the world's greatest band to the Chicago Stadium. The Chicago Bulls' last regular season home game in the old barn, the Chicago Stadium. Today's game is between the New York Knicks and your Chicago Bulls. Now for today's lineup. First for the visiting New York Knicks. At forward from St. Louis, 6'8", Anthony Bonner. A 6'9" forward from Virginia Union, Charles Oakley. At center, 7 foot from Georgetown, Patrick Ewing. At one guard from North Carolina, 6'5", Hubert Davis. At the other guard, 6'4", from Illinois, Derek Harper. The New York Knicks are coached by Pat Riley, assisted by Chet Van Gundy and Dick Harder. The trainer, Mike Saunders.
to a man who has made it back from special assignment with Inside Stuff and was kind enough to fit us into his extremely busy schedule. It is indeed the return of the dean of sideline reporting. Here's Ahmad Rashad.
Thanks, Mark. Well, I made my customary visits to both locker rooms, and the conversation was all about the upcoming playoffs. Now, when I mentioned to Charles Oakley that this might be a meaningless game, he said that is not the case. We look at Chicago as the team to beat. This is the team that stands in the way of our quest for a championship, and we want to leave a message here today. I talked to Scottie Pippen. He said, anytime we play the Knicks, it is always personal, and that is meaning enough for me. I had to remind both players that anytime Marv's at a game, it's always a big game.
Thank you so much, Ahmad. The New York Knicks with 2 straight wins after losing 6 of 9 Friday night, blowout of Milwaukee. After beating Philadelphia by 48 points to tie a club record for margin of victory, but that preceded by huge losses to Atlanta and last Sunday in Charlotte, which led to Pat Riley after the Charlotte game, a Charlotte team that was without Alonzo Mourning because of the suspension. Pat saying he felt that he had failed. He was upset because he felt his players thought they could just turn it on and off, turn it up a notch when the playoffs begin. And as he said clearly, you can't do that.
And Pat Riley has tried to use every motivational ploy in his bag of tricks this year, and I think a part of that was that too, although it was a major disappointment in losing to Charlotte. I thought the Knicks played well enough to win the game in Atlanta, but just did come up short. And even though the 2 blowouts against Philadelphia and Milwaukee were not against the strongest teams in the league, he's got to feel better about his team today.
The officials, Joe Crawford, Bill Spooner, and N.F. Rush. The Knicks controlling the opening tip. Here is Hubert Davis. Yes, the Chicago Bulls blew an opportunity on Friday night as they lost at home to the Boston Celtics in double overtime, 104 to 94. Pete Brown lighting it up for 38 points, and the Celtics won without Tito Raja, who was sidelined by injury. Scottie Pippen has tied the game at 2, and it was Scottie Pippen missing some key shots down the stretch, a couple of critical free throws in that first overtime. And as it turned out, that loss wiped away the Bulls' chances. So with Atlanta winning yesterday against Orlando, the seeds are now set. Davis came from out of bounds as he tried to set up, and the ball goes back to the Bulls.
Well, 2 ex-teammates, Bill Cartwright and Patrick Ewing, reuniting their matchup, which has been a good one over the years, especially in playoff situations. And normally Bill plays Patrick all alone and tries to bump him and bang him as much as possible.
Cartwright has done a good job against his one-time teammate. They certainly did a lot of bumping against each other during practice sessions. Ewing with the rejection, landing in the lap of Phil Jackson.
Scottie Pippen trying to come out and establish himself offensively right away. Goes by Anthony Bonner. The help coming over from Patrick Ewing. It seems when Scottie Pippen tries to too much scoring himself, the Bulls suffer.
Here's Grant getting inside. Stopped by Ewing. And it's a 24-second violation off the inbounds pass. Chicago had only 6 on the shot clock. Entering the game on Friday, the Bulls could have won the conference by beating Boston and New York, but that loss to Boston killed them, with Atlanta wrapping it yesterday at the Omni against Orlando. Foul is called. Foul called on Cartwright. Bill Cartwright reactivated from the injured list. Made his return on Friday night against the Celtics. He had been on the injury list since April the 8th with a sprained lower back. That back has bothered him right throughout the season. Here's Anthony Bonner. Rebounded by Scottie Pippen.
And when Pippen gets a rebound, he's going to try to do a lot of this. Run the fast break. Myers, Armstrong, and Kerr, when he comes in, instructed to run the lanes.
Cartwright's pass was stolen by Harper. Eric Harper being played by Pete Myers, who is a very good defensive player. Oakley set the pick. Oakley's pass deflected out. And the Knicks will have 7. on the 24.
Well, two outstanding defensive teams, and of course, Derek Harper, very quick and strong hands, got away with a little grab on the elbow to force that turnover from Cartwright.
And B.J. Armstrong lets it go, so Chicago will take over. We're tied at 2 with 2.5 minutes gone by. This is a Chicago team that surprised people by opening up with a record of 34-13. Then they dropped off. They lost 9 of 13, but in recent weeks they turned around. They have won 17 of the last 21. In one stretch, they had won 10 in a row. Cartwright, 1-2. Did Charles go for the fake of it?
Of course, these two guys were traded for each other some 5 years ago, as Bill Cartwright does not have his timing down very well. And Charles Oakley looking to get a bump and a hard one in.
Those are two players who over the years can hurt people, sometimes inadvertently. Pete Myers, a one-time New York Knick, giving the Bulls a 4-2 lead. Davis for 3. Well, Hubert Davis turning it after that 1-for-9 earlier in the week against Atlanta. He has located the range against Philadelphia and Milwaukee, and he hits that shot from downtown. Here's Myers. Myers squeezing his way inside, rebounded by Oakley, tripped himself up, and then is tied up. Scottie Pippen called for the foul.
And the crowd reacts to that as both Pippen and Grant and Charles Oakley all go for the loose ball. The flipper by Pete Myers knocked loose, and actually Charles Oakley was tripped inadvertently from behind by Bill Cartwright, but to say this game might not have some meaning, I don't think these players care really. They're going to go for loose balls, and they're going to bang bodies.
Yes, they are playing hard here at the start. Delay of game warning charge for the Bulls with Pippen knocking the ball aside. It's the Knicks 5 and the Bulls 4. Ewing getting position on Cartwright. And the Knicks lead 7-4.
Good defense played by Cartwright, just a better offensive move. Actually, Pippen came over to look for a double team. He's got the green light on defense.
Beautiful change of pace move by Pippen. Knicks by 1. Here's Harper going all the way. Derek Harper will do that from time to time. He will fool the opposition. They think he'll pull up and he goes all the way. Bonner with the rebound. Bonner delivers to Davis. And Davis on the drive. Hubert Davis has improved his ball handling and the dribble drive. He's given the Knicks an 11-6 advantage. Phil Jackson wants to talk it over. Timeout taken. 7:42 to go in this first quarter here at Chicago Stadium. Not much was expected from the Chicago Bulls this season following that third straight championship. Yet this Bulls team has won 55 and lost 26, the third seed in the Eastern Conference. Phil Jackson has done a terrific job in getting this club to this level. We asked Phil how satisfying has this season been for him.
I can't think of another major departure from a ball club in the history of the NBA where a team has survived that loss as well as our team has. Bill Russell from the Celtics on down, the MVP-type players that have left that ball club the year following. We've had a great, successful run at this thing, and I think it speaks volumes about the quality of this championship team that people were maybe saying little about in the last couple of years, but now they see Pippen, Grant, B.J. Armstrong, Cartwright, Paxson, and the entourage of players that helped, and Scott Williams, etc. And their quality and what they can bring to the game and the effect of our game on this league. And I think it's a great statement.
And not only did Scottie Pippen have an MVP caliber season, also B.J. Armstrong and Horace Grant making the All-Star team, but tremendous contribution from various people on the bench.
As you can see right here, when Bill Russell retired, when Wilt Chamberlain retired, when Magic Johnson retired, the win difference dropped considerably, yet Michael Jordan departs. And this team with that record of 55 and 26 nearly matched what was accomplished last season after 81 games with Jordan. They were 57 and 24. They finished at 57 and 25. As it turns out, losing the final game of the regular season. That counts at the 24-second buzzer. Patrick Ewing gives the Knicks a 13-8 lead. These two clubs concluded the regular season at the Garden a year ago, and the Knicks defeated the Chicago Bulls for win number 60. Charles Smith has checked in for the first time, replacing Charles Oakley, and the foul called on the drive by Hubert Davis.
One of the problems the Knicks have had all season long is scoring points and shooting from the perimeter. Probably their best shooter is this guy, Patrick Ewing. Maybe a little step or two outside his range, but he'll take the shot anytime it presents itself. Hubert Davis also off to a good start in this ball game, as Patrick Ewing has been one guy in the New York Knicks who has pretty much kept his mouth shut this year through the good times and through the bad.
Myers called for the foul. So Hubert Davis at the line. Hubert has hit 3 of 3 from the field, including 1 from downtown. Luke Longley has checked in, replacing Bill Cartwright. I mentioned Charles Smith coming on for the first time. Last time that Charles faced the Bulls, that was back in February in New York, 1 for 12 from the field, and heard the boos as he has right throughout in games at the Garden. He's become the target of the frustration of Knick fans at the Garden. He's been the symbol of any Knick failures, the result of several factors. As look out, Myers getting involved, Davis and Ewing.
The next personal foul, 44, Hubert Davis.
Also trying to get to it. Scottie Pippen being ushered aside by the official, Bill Spooner. You know, when Pete Myers was a member of the New York Knicks, and I don't think many people are aware of it, he and Patrick Ewing did not get along well. One of the reasons that led to the departure of Myers, who was very effective during the days of Rick Pitino's pressing defense, Hubert Davis called for a technical, along with Ewing, who was Luke Longley, and Scottie Pippen, all called for tees. Ewing very quick to step in to the aid of Davis. Pete Myers! Now they made a correction. It was Pippen and Myers, not Longley. Let's take another look at that sequence.
Well, normally it's Myers who's such an agitator at the defensive end. Here's Hubert Davis getting right up in the face of Myers and trying to apply a lot of pressure.
And you mentioned the word agitator. As Longley puts the move on, and he was fouled. Luke Longley will go to the line. Foul called on Ewing. Ewing would get upset by the agitating of Myers during Knick practice sessions.
Well, I think Patrick is a no-nonsense guy. Yes, he appreciates hard play and physical play. He has had to step in a number of times with John Starks to try to keep him under control. And Patrick is very professional. I think sometimes he thinks maybe Pete Myers takes it to an extreme.
Well, Pete is the type of guy who can get on players' nerves. He plays hard, and he's also trying to use the tools that he has. He's strictly a defensive presence. Here he is in the starting lineup with Michael Jordan departing. It's Pete Myers who is the starting guard at that position. This is a guy who's been around. Originally drafted by the Bulls in the 6th round in '86. Spent a couple of years with Chicago, then some time in the CBA in San Antonio and Philly, the Knicks, New Jersey, San Antonio. Spent 2 years in Europe, and here he is back with the Chicago Bulls.
And so far, Hubert Davis is lighting him up at the offensive end of the floor.
Yes, that may also have something to do with what took place. Here's Bonner. His pass picked off by Pippen. Pippen for Grant. There's Grant on a fadeaway is called for a traveling violation.
It's still a good fast break opportunity for the Bulls. Armstrong and Myers got wide on the wings, left the open middle of the floor for Pippen to operate. Good look inside to Grant. Just Patrick Ewing in there to stop it.
The Knicks lead 15-10 with just under 6 minutes to go. First quarter. Davis with the off-balance shot. Smith couldn't hold on, and Pippen able to palm it. Scottie picked it off the floor in palming style. Knicks had hit the last 5 shots prior to that.